Hello, Gopherwatch League fans, and welcome to our third matchup of Week 4. We've had a very crazy week thus far, but it's going to get even crazier. We have the first seed in the Gold Division versus the last seed in the Gold Division, the Emma Skies versus the Welsh Whales, and we got an amazing production team here. We have myself, War, we got Fedora behind the scenes, and we got Invictus as my co-caster. The Imps production is absolutely impeccable. Invictus, what do you got to say about this match?
Well, this match, I'm really looking forward to seeing, the comps that the MS guys play, especially. They seem to be swapping around a lot. And honestly, MS guys have been pretty dominant in their uh, area. And Welsh Wales, I really want to see Corey do well in this match.
I feel
Grigma
like
Mail as well.
I feel like the Welsh Whales are kind of an underrated team because they have a lot of pop-off potential. You know, Corey and Centurion were from the Kanto Cantaloupes. They did absolutely incredible. They won the previous season, went on one of the biggest map winning streaks that we have ever seen. But my question is, do you think the map winning streak for this week will continue? We've only seen 3-0s this week. So, could this be another 3-0?
Well, I have faith that the Welsh Whales can hold their own against the MS Guys. They're definitely improving a lot as a team, especially since the beginning of the season. Grigmamil is definitely turned up, especially in the later games, and I want to see him. Uh, he's playing a lot more for his team, and it's working out a lot better for the Whales. I want to see them, win this match. Uh, but especially just take some maps off the MS guys because I'm a little selfish and I want to see the imps at the top.
I
You want to see
mean,
a little bit of a tier break, a
yeah.
little bit of a gap between us and the skies.
Everybody wants to see a tier break, and I think everybody also wants. I may be a little bit biased. Everybody also wants the imps on top, imp supremacy. That's
Imp
all we gotta
supremacy.
hope for. But one thing that we gotta comment on first before we actually hop into this match is we do have the Frutals on the. I believe it's gonna be the flex support or main support. I'm not actually sure. So, what is your thoughts on that? Because I believe he is going to be the ringer for the Welsh Whales.
Well, from what I know, Frutals would probably be playing flex support to Neo Palladius as main support, and Frutals I know as a strong mechanical player for sure. I actually have never seen them play support really in any sort of team environment, so it'll be interesting to see how they play around the team for the Welsh Whales here. Uh, Usually the ringer rules are that they have to be significantly lower SR than the player they're replacing. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. I believe it's 300 SR, and because Space Muffin is approximately just over 3000 SR, then Ringer, such as Frutos, can come in because they are below um Caster Math Hard
That cap.
2700. Yeah, below that threshold is what
So
we can say.
yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing the whales at their full power when they have their main support in their main flex support. I would suppose Space Muffin at that just above 3K level, but Frutals at a 2.7 level, I think, can still provide consistent value for the team. So maybe it's not going to be too much of a dent in the whales, and hopefully the whales are going to put up a great fight and put on a great show for us to watch tonight.
Yep, and then I also want to mention the Emma Skies composition, a little bit of a switch up compared to the previous week. We're actually going to have Jack on the tank and Fancy on the DPS. What is your thoughts on that?
No, I'm not sure, but I feel like it's a little bit of an early BM pick. Emma Skies, obviously, they're known as the top in their division, and they're gonna try and limit test and see what kind of crazy stuff that they can pull off against the Welsh Whales. And it's kind of the Welsh Whales' job to show them that no, we're here to fight. We're not here to, play games, right? We're here to win this match, and Welsh Whales really got to show up and shut down this initial comp that the MS guys are pulling out.
Yeah, and they definitely do have the potential to do so. Now we have the map, or the map of the week is going to be Nepal. I mean, you played it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to play it. I was out of town. But who do you think is favored on a map like this? Especially because Fancy is not going to be on the hog.
Well, that's an interesting decision. I mean, I would say honestly, MS guys are going to be favored in this. And the reason I say that is one, no one knows what Jack is going to play on tank, so it's going to be unpredictable. Two, MS Skies in general just has a higher SR tank line. And I feel like the tank line, especially on some of these maps, like the brawly maps, especially like on Village, is going to be really, really important to have. So Jakakua is, I think, a mid-masters tank line going up against maybe around a mid-diamond tank line with Norlogic and Centurion. Maybe that mid-diamond tank line will be able to hold their own, but will they be able to make the space for the carry potential of Corey and Grigma Mail? That's kind of the question that we're going to have be asking today.
I mean, I feel like HV and Fancy definitely do have clutch potential, but compared to a team like Koi and Grigma Mail, if you're able to enable those two players, it can be absolute domination, right?
Absolutely.
We've seen it basically everywhere. They have the clutch potential. I mean, what's standing out to me right now is Corey on any aim-based character, any hit scanner, and then Grigma Mail on either Genji or whatever other characters that they play. But I mean, do you think Fancy and HV have a chance to sort of counter them out, especially on maps like Nepal?
Well, I do think Fancy, as a resident Hog player in 4.2, I think he's maybe gonna push his limits a little too hard on the DPS. I'm not quite sure how well he plays safe on the DPS. I feel like he's gonna be pushing the limits of what he can do, and Welsh Wales could very much notice that and punish it really easily, actually, especially with reliable players like they have themselves. And I know the Welsh Whales, they've been scrimming this comp, this roster that they have right now, and it's been working out a lot better for them in the previous games. So I'd love to see, punishing Fancy if he gets a little too big for his britches. And HVSec definitely has carry potential. He's usually, I would say, not too much of a flanker, but maybe I'm wrong. I haven't played against him too much. I usually play with him.
I mean, you have the experience of playing with him on the DPS line, so that's gonna tell a lot, I guess. But I gotta ask, could we see the double shield from either of these teams or the double shield mirror? I know it's been talked about, it's been thrown out in GWL and basically everywhere that MS Guys, and I know us with the St. Michael Hawks, which is basically half the MS Guys, we're a big double shield fan. And Welsh Wales maybe still finding their composition, figuring out what works for them, but the switches onto tank kind of indicate that a double shield could be brewing.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet that at least one team rolls out on Sanctum with a double shield comp. Maybe if one of the other teams has something other cooked up for maybe like Village, like a Sim TP, or a Sim turrets on the point, or something like Shrine, where you can play something like a Brawl comp as well. Maybe we'll see some variety there. Hopefully, we're not going to be watching through, 3 to 5 maps of double shield, just shooting each other's shield, and just nothing is happening, and then all of a sudden, everyone is dead on one team.
I just want to see 3 to 5 maps of Shanghai comp.
I
Just
want to see three to
please.
five maps of just interesting Overwatch.
I would be down to 3 to 5 maps of interesting Overwatch, and I think we're definitely going to get that from a game like this on Nepal. The MS Skies versus the Welsh Whales, and I believe most teams are going to be ready. I believe there's some bathroom breaks, some bio breaks, some breaks of any sort, but we should be hopping in any minute now. But any last thoughts from the one and the only Invictus, the, I guess, savant, the most knowledgeable Overwatch player that I know. Any final thoughts?
Oof. Uh, that's a pretty big shoes to fill, honestly. Well, I think I haven't talked about the support line of these teams that much. I know we talked about Fruitals filling in for Space Muffins, but something to point out is that they got Ninja Do 10 and Witherin, some lower SR players that fill in a lot of value for their SR. I've played with both. I know what it's like to be on a team with Witherin, as he was on the Pompeii Pelicans on Season 5, and Ninja Drew was on Pompeii Pelicans was Season 4. Either way,
Yeah.
I've played with both these support players on the MS Skies. I know their value, and so does HV, the captain of the MS Skies, and that's why I picked him up. Now, Fruitals is unproven, in my eyes at least. I've never seen him play support. Neo Palladius, in my eyes, also, I haven't really paid much attention to, so I think the support line and the tank line is a little bit favored. I'm a little bit biased, honestly.
5, 4,
Neopolydnius, I believe, did play for the Cantaloupes, I think. I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure, but lot of information, a lot of skill for these players, and a lot of experience for these players and teams. They're teams that have experience fighting to each other, but the question is, will the experience, will the compositions actually pay off? And that's a question. You can see more of a rush brawl comp for the Welsh Whales. Well, on the side of the Emma Skies, it's a little bit different. You have Akua on the Hog, typically a character you'd see Fancy play, but just trying to create a lot of space, trying to create a lot of control. The ante was absolutely massive, but are they going to be able to find anything off it? I don't think so. The Maywall comes through, and it's going to be absolutely clinical in backing the Emma Skies off this site.
Now, they've done a great job of playing the brawl comp to a T and getting that initial pick, but they have to finish this fight now. As they lose two, they've actually lost Nortlogic and they've lost, I believe, Fruitles died to the Fancy on the flank. He didn't even have his pocket at the time.
And you can see the point control already starting to come through, and it's a pretty easy flip. Only 21% for the Welsh Whales here, and maybe not the way they wanted to start it.
Well, it's better off than losing the point immediately. The Welsh Whales are going to be able to push into maybe this Sigma, but they're going to be shot from every single angle. They need to be incredibly fast on this push, on this engage, and Nortlogic falls again to the Hog hook, the Akua Hog.
Hog, yeah.
Emma Skies are already coming up on 6 ultimates, just waiting on the Valkyrie to come up, and Welsh Whales have absolutely nothing.
Just able to build up the window, but it's going to be the grab flux that comes through first. It's going to catch almost all of them through, but the Bat Lamp going to be able to deny some space. Not going to be able to actually create some control. Bob from Fancy on the point. It feels like that's the only thing lighting up the kill feed, but no, HV showing up as well. And even though Neopolydnius did get a pretty nice boop there, it's not going to matter.
Well, honestly, I see that is quite a win from the Whale side of things. You got out 5 ultimates. Or 4 ultimates from the side of the Emma Skies when they had an incredible ult advantage. That's fairly good, and now they're going to be coming in with some ultimates of their own. They're going to have to beat just in case. They use their lamp. High Noon from Grigmamail coming out from the inside. Jack gets booped off by Neopolydnius, the Cantaloupe's Lucio player, and looks like both supports have their ults. Stiva has her ult too, and they're gonna cap this point. They're gonna hold on to it.
Yeah, they managed to get the point flip out. Neopolydnius, I gotta mention, I think that's the second boot onto Jack. That's so funny.
Asserting that main support diff.
It's honestly a main support diff against Jack.
Yeah, it looks like the Whales are cleaning up finally. They're actually, honestly, this is good for them. The little staggers gives them extra point time on the point. And, you know, 50 seconds on the clock for the Whales.
And the ult advantage also going in their favor. You notice that Corey actually making the switch off Mei onto Reaper. I love this because I'm now able to do a lot more DPS. Now that they have the point actually controlled, now playing for the angle onto Fancy, it's actually going to help Nort find the pick onto Fancy. That's an early pick, and now Corey just lighting up the feed right now. When the Ash goes down, the Mercy follows, but Akua trying to make a stop to it. It's not going to matter in the end, though. They already have established so much control, and only 1 ultimate used in that entire time.
Yeah, Whales are just building up ultimates, although they are chasing a bit far into the Hog. Lose Corey on the Reaper, and Hog gets rezzed up, so you're asking yourself now, is that really worth it?
Gotta be the contest, though. It will worth it if it's gonna be able to deny the contest. Gravitational Flux comes out, able to find 2 composition with the bomb. The bomb actually from Centurion finding 2. That's gonna be absolutely huge. Deadeye comes out as well. Actually not going to be able to find anything other than the mech, but Corey's back on point already. Finds 1, finds 2. That's going to be the shutdown on the Emma Skies, and that is going to be the first round in favor of the Welsh Whales.
Wow, some big clutches from everyone on the Whales, and Centurion with the big bomb, Corey with the Death Blossom, and Centurion also trying, you know, putting his face inside of the High Noon that protected his team and allowed them to clutch up in the first place. That's great stuff from the Whales. That's the kind of thing that you wanted to see, that you wanted to, you know, show that, you know, the MS guys cannot just dick around and play whatever they want. MS guys are going to have to pull out their strongest comps to beat the Whales here.
5,
But you notice, I mean, the whale's actually switching compositions, and of course the switch of compositions on, I believe, it's Shrine for the MS guys. But what are your thoughts? Oh wait, no, they immediately switch back to the brawl. So we're gonna have basically a sort of mirrored brawl, but with the Diva versus Azaria when the start of this battle, and some initial focus going out. Nothing really invested thus far. Both lamps coming out. Yes, not really going to be able to find anything just yet. Both lamps eventually going to be destroyed, and now it's just going to be a fight, war of attrition, one would say. Who's going to be able to stay alive on the point? And both Ryan's going down there already. HVSec able to find one with Neil onto Neil Palladius, but again, it's going to be the early point control in favor of the Welsh Whales.
This seems like a very mirrored situation to the last time we watched on Sanctum. Whales get early point control, but the MS guys are surrounding the point and they're getting picks on the Whales. Whales need to stabilize on point, and it looks like they're doing just that with the window. Nortlogic came back on the Reinhardt, and it looks like the MS guys are trying to window in, but Jack is just taking too much damage, and Corey's on the flank. He's just pulling them back away from the window.
Gopherwatch with actually the counter to the fire strike right there, actually gonna be able to find HV, and now the blade comes out, finds one, finds two. Akua just saying, I don't want any more of this, jumping off there, has to reset, has to retreat, and this has been such a dominant performance thus far from the Welsh Whales. They're able to get the point control, and they're able to hold it this time. I think this is really showing that this is a different Welsh Whales than we've seen in week 1, week 2, and week 3. This is a Welsh Whales that have new strategies, that have changed their compositions, but will the MS guys be able to adapt?
And the MS guys do have 4 ultimates, maybe even 5 with the sound barrier coming up. Grab invested on the BAP. And it looks like all hell is breaking loose. Corey with 3 with the Death Blossom, 4 even.
It's going to be a huge Death Blossom from Corey right there. Absolutely massive. Just able to find whatever space they can. They've just been cleaning up pick after pick after pick, but the ult advantage still in favor of the Skies, but you have to find a way to use it.
Yeah, well, the ult advantage was in favor, but the Whales knew the tempo that they had to play it, and they played really fast. They used their ultimates and killed them before they even could get any value from the Grav or any other ultimates. And now MS guys are in a really bad position here, but Corey gets picked off early, and Beat comes in, Strata comes in. Everything is used from the side of the Skies just to flip this point.
And it might be actually be able to, as Akua finding one. Jack still on the point up. The Shatter proved absolutely massive in that, and with both DPS ults being utilized at the same time, the Welsh Whales just have to retreat. But in my opinion, this isn't even bad from the Welsh Whales. They've played thus far to perfection, and now they have a little bit of, in my opinion, at least a stabilization on the ults, if not an ult advantage.
Right, and I'm thinking that the Welsh Whales want to play a little bit slow, not use their ultimates yet, and they want to build up their ultimates for a point flip on the next attack, on the next fight. They're gonna be using Blade to counter that window there, so they are investing ultimates here, and it's just a cluster of chaos going on point right now. Corey in the backline right now too, on Jack. He's not doing anything for his team.
Not really able to get much value, and in my opinion, this is already a lost fight for the Welsh Whales unless they're able to get back on and contest. They haven't really found many, if any, picks at this point in time. HV just cleaning up the picks here, but Nord able to get back on point and stabilize with the help of Gopherwatch. They want to take this fight. They want to claim the space here, and not really going to be able to do it, especially with the bomb coming through. Shield comes up, trying to counter, but the shield gets destroyed. Fancy finding the pick onto Nord right there, and now it's just Gopherwatch. This fight has gone on for way too long, and it feels like they've lost more than they've gained.
They've lost some momentum here. So when they invested those ultimates, they gave the MS guys a chance to trade ultimates instead of, Welsh Whales waiting for ultimates to come out and just using the ultimates on the next fight. Now MS guys are coming up on, 4 ultimates when the beat comes up, and Whales are kind of even with them. This is not a situation you want to be in. HVSec with the high noon doesn't find anything quite yet. Fancy with the visor, but the window to counter with the beat as well.
Oh, the ult's coming out, but it's going to be Corey on top of it. Corey with 3, Corey with 4. That's 1,000,000% going to flip the point. It doesn't even matter if they get the entire tick. They get the flip, they get the team kill, and that's going to be it. The first map is going to go to the Welsh Whales.
And in a surprisingly well-coordinated and strong carry performance from Corey on the Reaper guy. You see a lot of traded ultimates between both the MS Skies and the Welsh Whales, but none of them really seem to get much value until Corey jumps in mid-fight with the Death Blossom while everyone has already used their cooldowns. They can't stop him, and he gets 4 for the play of the game here.
Yeah, Corey, absolutely incredible. I mean,
Well,
started out on May, but then switched to Reaper and still got 12 Death Blossom kills.
yeah, and when I was saying Corey was pulling the main tank behind his own team, I wasn't saying Corey was doing nothing. Corey benefits from that situation when Corey brings the main tank all the way away from his team. It was Jack in that situation that hadn't been doing anything for his team because he had a Reaper in his face. He couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, you can't really do anything in a situation like that. But now the MS guys have the choice of map and can choose also to switch in some players. I gotta mention though, I feel like Fruitles was actually matching Witherin on the flex support there. It felt like they were building the ults at the exact same time on BAP, and it didn't feel like one was getting picked more often than the other. So I'm excited to see more of Fruitles within this Welsh Wales composition because it feels like he's already clicking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't see any, discrepancies between the two. They seem to be performing at a very similar level, which is very good for the Welsh Whales who wanted to win this, this entire match. Now that they've taken a map off the MS Skies, they're going to be a little bit high on that, on that, what would you
On
call
that
it?
win? You
On
could just
that
call it on
win?
that win, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
just
I would
high off
be.
that win.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have a little bit of a momentum going into this next map on Blizzard World. They're gonna see a comp swap on the MS Skies though. Fancy off the DPS. Now Fancy was kind of funny. I predicted exactly what he was gonna do. He was gonna go on hard flanks. He was gonna push the limits of what he could do. And sometimes he did get value, but obviously the MS Skies seem to think not quite enough. Fancy get back on the hog jail or
And
whatever you're gonna
we do
play.
have a prediction in chat. Double shield or no double shield? Invictus, I want your 2 cents on this. It's Blizzard World. It's the MS guy's
Unless
choice.
okay.
Are we seeing the double shield mirror?
Unless both teams made some sort of truce in the background that we don't know about, I guarantee at least one team is rolling out in double shield, whether it be the defense or the offense. This is a double shield map that can do great things. And honestly, I mean, Fancy Akua just kind of shows that, yeah, they're going to be playing Sigma, likely. And Akua is kind of gaining prowess on the horse. I mean, he's gaining notoriety on the horse character, which is a little bit scary to see a double shield with 2 GM level players on the tank.
Yeah, we'll have to see which players are actually going to be able to take it in the second map of the day. We have the MS Skies versus the Welsh Whales. Week 4 of Gopherwatch League, and it cannot get more exciting than this. The lowest seed in the gold division, maybe the lowest seed in the entire league, just took a map off one of the best teams. And if this isn't showing enough, it's showing that there can be a lot of upsets and there can be a lot of double shield.
Oh yes, you see both teams running out on the double shield. No truce in the backgrounds, no truces. They're running the double shield comp. They're running what's powerful. Unfortunate for us viewers, but maybe fortunate for the Welsh Whales who are going to match that double shield and hopefully to a higher degree get that value from that double shield comp that they're running.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to the difference in the DPS line here. We have Jack on the Sombra back in his home, and Corey actually going to the Torbjorn. I don't think I've seen this yet, and it's going to be some very fun matchups between the DPS, but you can see Jack already looking for a lot of early space, and they're going to be able to get the composition of the opponents and get a little bit of ult charge thus far. The question for me is, will Fruitles be able to counter out Jack, or will Jack be able to pick up Fruitles? Because it's a question of, can Jack just disrupt the support line? And as of right now, it doesn't look like he's doing much, but this isn't the deciding factor. The Welsh Whales able to gain a lot of control, a lot of space on the left side of this point, but nothing's really gone down just yet. I'm waiting for Jack with an actual initiation to actually find something. And there it is, the hack onto Fruitles. Isn't going to be able to find anything just yet. And it looks like it's just going blow for blow, shield for shield, quite literally.
Yeah, this is kind of exactly how you expected it. What a great window from Fruitals. Pulls out 2 picks from that window thanks to Grigmamail's high noon there. Great shots. And when I was watching that, I was thinking, okay, the Welsh Whales seem to be on the back foot. You know, they're getting pushed back. They can't really hold their ground, but a great fast ultimate usage by Fruitals there actually beats out Witherin in that. And, you know, the window just won them the fight. They got 2 picks immediately.
They didn't lose anything there. The res actually came through onto Corey, so it feels like they're still having an advantage. And the fact that they're building ultimates faster than the Emma Skies is already telling me that even with the hacks coming through from Jack, it may not matter, but the hack and the EMP, that's going to be able to find a lot on double shield composition. You can see Fancy and Kua just lighting up the feed because they can. The EMP, such a powerful ability against double shield.
Absolutely, and that's kind of going to be their win condition for every single time they have EMP. They're going to be winning those fights unless they, you know, choke somehow. But Corey coming in with that Molten Core, and the Whales want to win these fights when the MS guys don't have that EMP. And this is one of those fights, so they're getting free card space right now, a little bit pressure. Big flux from Fancy actually only pulls Nort Logic, not so big. And a flux from Nort Logic much bigger. Slams 3 on the ground into the Immortality Field, and huge ultimates being used from the MS Skies to try and counter that flux. Will it be enough? It looks like 2 picks going in the favor, 3 picks in the favor of the MS Skies, and they clean up that fight, but having used almost all their ultimates besides Window, and only coming up on an EMP here.
I think that's actually alright though, because
they did trade out with many ults from the Whales, so
it felt like every mirrored character just matched ultimates there, and you see how fast Jack is actually building the Sombra ult. I think that's going to be the deciding factor here. It's kind of like a Nano Blade. It's similar to a Nano Blade in my opinion, because
it's a win condition, right?
Yeah, it's a win condition. That's what I'm trying to say. But the question is, will the BAP be the win condition? But Fancy proving that he is the only win condition in this game right now. Team Kill on the back of him. Oh
and
my
Fancy
gosh.
with the highest damage by actually almost just matching Grigmamail on damage. Actually a little bit lower, but the highest damage on his team, and 10 final blows already. Obviously putting in the work on the Sigma, has his flux to Nort Logic's 47%, definitely showing that he is worth that 4.7 or 4.7. Why would I say that? Big flex from Fancy here. This is what you expect.
He feels like a 4.7 player with these gameplays, so it makes sense to me. Surely he must be 4.7, but Red's actually going to come through on to Centurion here, and it looks like the Welsh Whales are actually able to get a lot of cart progress. They did a good job of countering the gravitational flux, and now Torbjorn ultimate coming out to sort of deny the space on high ground with Centurion anchoring the point, and Grigmamail is just able to get online. This is going to be massive for them, but remember, Fancy's back at this point. Fancy basically a DPS for the Emma Skies here, and incredible on it thus far. Takes control of the point, but the High Noon may be able to counter that. Yes, it does. Finds one on Jack. Corey with another one onto Fancy at this point, and it feels like the Welsh Whales just wrapping up these kills so quickly, so dominantly, and they're able to get through the second part of this map.
Now, I absolutely got to give props to Grigmamail for that fight win. He got the initial pick on the Soldier, and then he got the High Noon on the Sombra. Cleans up the fight terrifically, and wins the fight for the Welsh Whales there. Great positioning, great flank from him, honestly.
Now it's a question of, will the ultimates in favor of the Emma Skies be enough to counter this push? Typically, the third point is where leads go to die, but the question is, will the Welsh Whales be able to stop that? They still have 3 minutes on the time bank, which is a decent amount of time if they're able to cycle out ults well enough, but Rally comes through from HV. That's going to get a lot of value. If they do not get fluxed up, the flux comes through. Grigmamail's actually with the first pick. The visor from Raz, not really going to be able to find anything just yet, and Grigmamail's with an insane pick onto Raz. Both BAP windows popped at the exact same time, but the question is, who's going to get more value? The value is going to come through from the team with more numbers, and it's going to be the Welsh Whalers just controlling the point, capturing the space. Jack's the only one left to really recontest this point, but as a Sombra, you have to stay up there, and you can't really do anything. It's just gonna be a stall, a contest. You can see the switch from Fancy onto Ball, just gonna get shut down. Raz making the switch as well. Akua able to get back on point, maybe gonna be able to build up ult, but no, not even. Withering with another stagger, and no, it's not gonna do it. The Welsh Whales with a 2-minute time bank on Blizzard World, absolutely incredible.
Yes, and great props to Greg Mamale there. He absolutely put the team on his back, maybe in a silent way, but he's a silent carry in these games. You saw a fancy flux, and Greg Mamale flashed him out of that and continued to get value throughout the fight. He's leading the lobby, even in front of Fancy in damage with 8.2k right now, and he's leading the lobby in elims as well. Greg Mamale doing great work for the Whales. That's exactly what you wanted to see from one of your carry DPS, someone that had been unproven in the past, first season in the league. Greg Mamale showing up, doing great things this game, and definitely matching Corey on the prowess that we saw on Nepal.
I mean, Grigormail, another DPS. He is a little bit higher in the effective SR than Corey is, but I mean, both these DPS has just been lighting up the feed, lighting up basically everybody on the MS guys. And what can you do against such a unpredictable composition like this? Somehow, Corey on the Torbjorn. I gotta say this for Fedora, getting value on the attack, and now definitely gonna get value on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the MS guys need to maybe respect the DPS on the Whales a little bit more. I think the MS guys went into this game not respecting the Whales, and now they're paying the price. They lost, third point of Blizzard World. They lost Nepal, the entire map, in 2 rounds. They have to give a little bit more respect on the Whales name now, and maybe they're going to be playing a little bit slower. Maybe they're going to be playing a little bit faster. It depends on the composition matchup that they have. It seems like it's almost matched up, except Jack and Razmataz on the Echo and the Soldier instead of the Torb and the Cass on the side of the Whales. Both sides trading blows here. Nothing really seems to be happening. Lamp got thrown out, and an HV stick gets picked by Nortlogic on the Sigma. Great pick from the Sigma there.
We're just looking to create some space, and it feels like the MS guy is just going left, right, deciding what the best push is. When you have Fancy and Akua, you can do that, but if you get split up and all of the Welsh Whales just sticking together as a team, not letting them get picked, but just as I say that, the Echo able to find one onto Corey, so that's going to even out this fight just for a little bit, and maybe even swing the advantage just a teeny bit in the advantage of the MS guys. But Bap window invested. You can see Fancy already taking space on the opposite side, and that window is going to be a lot better from Withering. It's going to allow Fancy to turn online, get more picks. Frutos goes down, Minimoon goes down. That's the supports down. With the supports down for your team, you have to turn online. You have to find picks because nothing's going to heal you in this situation. Corey still up, but HV's able to get the res onto Withering, and all the picks are not going to come through. Greg Mills just decides, let me just jump off, let me just reset. Smart call by the Welsh Whales, understanding that that fight has been lost.
Yeah, and it seems that after that pick onto Corey by Jack on the Echo, the Welsh Whales needed to back up and play it safe, but they invested window in order to kind of turn the tides and buy them some time, but unfortunately the MS guys already rotated and they didn't get much value from it. Grigmamil with a high noon leading into this fight picks off Akua early. That's going to be devastating for your MS guys. Grigmamil looking for more. Fancy picks the other Sigma. And we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of chaos. The high ground is getting taken by the MS guys, and it's actually going in the favor of the MS guys when they have that high ground. Grigmamil is getting pressured out already, and yeah, the Whales are just going to have to back up and regroup and take the fight at a better position.
And cart progress still coming through. Raz anchoring on the cart. Well, Fancy, it feels like they've switched roles in this situation here. Fancy, just the main DPS for the MS guys, and already built up yet another ultimate. You can see how powerful these can be in this map right now. But first ultimates that are going to come out are actually both ultimates from the tank line. It's going to enable Jack to find a few picks already. Bap window, or Bap lamp invested on the high ground just to sustain the team, just to keep them up, and all the picks are in favor of the Emma Skies, but Grigmamil maybe shutting me up there, finding one, but gonna have to rotate out, gonna have to find some space. There's no space against Akua. The pull comes through, and Gopherwatch finally taken out, and MSK is showing why we shouldn't underestimate them. They're the #2 team for a reason.
Yeah, the difference maker in that fight was really Fancy getting the Flux first and using it on Nortlogic before he could do anything. It was almost equal ults used, but unfortunately the Whales just couldn't use that Flux in time, and they lost the Sigma early due to that.
Yeah, you cannot.
Corey coming out early with the core, noticing that you're gonna have to ult first to win these fights, and Flux comes out too from Nortlogic.
A lot of ults used on the side of the Welsh Whales, and those ults are really going to act to sort of counter the positioning of the MSKs. MSKs forced to reset, but it's going to be a fairly quick regroup, and the Welsh Whales may regret using 2 ultimates in that situation when they may have only needed 1. Double shield still staying strong, but it's going to be triple shield on the side of the MSKs with the duplicate. And they built the ult already, finds both of the squishies in the air, and that's going to enable Jack to find the picks they need, lighting up the feed. It's all the MSK's favor. The BAP window for Brutals isn't even going to accomplish anything, and now we're entering sort of a last fight territory with Gopherwatch just trying to create as much space as possible. Actually, Jack finds both picks that they needed to, and it's going to be the question of can they contest in a situation like this.
Every single ult coming out from the MSKs, and they just cap uncontested, unfortunately, with all the damage that they had. The Whales just couldn't touch without dying instantly.
I mean, thus far, it has been absolutely incredible from both teams, I gotta say. Like, they're playing double shield to almost perfection, and it feels like they know how to counter it. They have so much DPS just utilized in either flying around the double shield, finding some space on the flanks, or just shooting down a shield as much as you can, just burning the enemy shield. And even though it's a 3-minute to a 2-minute time, I don't think that is going to decide it. I think it's going to really come down to how long these teams can sustain. And Jack back on the Echo instead of the Sombra, but Corey actually going to mirror that Echo, so we could see a complete team mirror in a situation like this.
Yeah, and I think Jack's been pretty underrated on this map on the Echo. He has 33 eliminations just behind Fancy, showing the tank differential with 34. That's nowhere near anywhere where the Whales are right now. That's not indicative of the player's skill, but perhaps how the game is going. That attack was absolutely brutal for the Whales, and it's still winnable for them. This isn't going to decide the entire game, but this attack will.
This attack definitely will decide the entire game, and it's the question of will they be able to make a good attack. Now, the only advantage they have is the MS guys weren't able to prepare against an Echo Mercy. Obviously, they have an Echo Mercy of their own, but it's going to be the battle between Jack and Corey. That's the question. Who is more value on DPS? And right now, nobody really showing out in a situation like this, but a lot of progress made by the Welsh Whales getting onto the left side of point here, and Shield just cycling out from the Sigma and the Orisa here, trading a lot of space, trading a lot of control, but only getting progress in space, not getting progress in point. But there it is, the kill is coming out. Corey Gopherwatch absolutely turning online. That's going to be the DPS differential shown there. Centurion showing the differential on the tank as well, and it's just going to be shut down. Fancy, you're such a clutch player, but you cannot do anything against the entire team of the Welsh Whales. And even though, I mean, I can't even say an even though at a situation like this, because even though they have the time advantage, it may not even matter when Corey's still turning online and still finding picks.
Absolutely. I think both DPS on the Welsh Whales have noticed a little bit of a weakness on the Razzmatazz Soldier, and they saw her on the high ground, and they continued to pressure her relentlessly until Gopherwatch could get the pick onto the Soldier, and it ended up working in their favor. Jack back on the Sombra now, not opting for the Echo, knowing Corey is just the better player, obviously. I'm biased because I played on a team with Corey.
Hey, me and Jack play on the same Fortnite team, so I will back him up. When he builds the Sombra ult, that should be able to counter out the Welsh Whales. But right now, the Welsh Whales doing the only countering here. No, actually gonna get hacked by Jack just as I say that. the Blade completely shut down. Ult advantage completely even thus far. It's going to be the duplicate from Corey onto the Baptiste. Look at how fast he can build it. Flux comes through. It's going to be a double Flux. They counter each other out. No trades thus far, but everyone who has an ult just using it to create space, but it's only Gopherwatch lighting up the feed. Doesn't need the Blade to show that they are the most dominant player. They have the high ground backed up by their teammate in Corey, and they're going to be able to push off HV and Raz. HV trying to put up a counter, but against Gopherwatch, what can you do in a situation like that? Gopherwatch actually finding another pick, and they might actually have to give this up and not even contest until the third part.
Absolutely crucial picks that came out from Gopherwatch on the first point and on that second point on the payload there. You love to see it. Now, it seems like the support line of the MS Skies aren't really able to help each other. Maybe they're positioning in a particular way where they're a little bit too isolated, but Gopherwatch is taking advantage of that, and he's not getting shut down at all. Jack in the back with the EMP though. Let's see how the MS Skies pull this off.
There it is. It gets literally every single one of them, but maybe the damage is already done. Is it? No, Jack actually finding one, but ult's coming through. Gopherwatch actually getting counted out. The hook by Fancy, absolutely incredible. The switch by Akua and Fancy showing up big in a situation like this, and it seems like the switch of compositions, the switch of plan was enough for the MS Skies, but will it be enough for them to win this map? They have 3 minutes to do so, and then everything they can push, every last second they can get with the overtime. If you're a Welsh Wales fan, this is exciting because they were down on time, but they're still able to get so much cart progress.
Absolutely. Now, the MS Skies have they did swap comps. I want to see if they continue to keep that Roadhog. I don't know if they did that just because of Gopherwatch and the Genji being so dominant, but Jack Widow? Sorry, I kind of got off track here. Jack Widow?
I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I mean, if he knows when to switch off it, you know how important it is to use Widow and then switch off, unless Jack's able to find some type of amazing value. But how do you find value on Widow? This is more of a question for you. How do you find value on Widow against a double shield?
Well, on this point, Jack's gonna have to play really surgically. He's gonna have really short peaks on multiple off angles, and he's gonna have to be using his hook shots and using them effectively and getting value out of those. This is entirely dependent on his own mechanical skill here and his ability to, actually use his hook effectively and not get picked.
The thing that's scary to me right now is
and
it feels...
I think we focused too hard on the Jack Widow because he's swapping off to Echo right now.
Yeah, no, it feels like the MS guys didn't know what they were doing going into this. It felt like they had two different plans, and they ended up, thinking about a lot of plans, but actually gonna commit to this, the Jack Echo, and Fancy actually making the switch on Hog. That was what put a stop to the double shield, but the question is, will it be able to put a stop to a double shield this time, especially against such a very powerful composition? But the Nano actually coming through from Withering, finding three, and Fancy, oh my gosh, that flank, those picks, these hooks, absolutely incredible. Fancy's going to enable their entire team at this point to get on point, get picks, and I believe we're going to see a faster take of the point than the Welsh Whales were able to pull off.
Absolutely. Now Fancy taking the absolute craziest flank, it's going all the way behind onto the high ground. And that is slightly on the the Whales for not really scouting out Fancy on the Roadhog. I'd like to see a little bit of adaptation, a little bit more wariness of the Fancy Hog, because he's going to do it again until it stops working.
You have to always be marking Fancy, but it's going to be so hard against a team like the MS Guys, because you also want to be marking out Jack. You also want to be marking out Akua. You really want to mark every player that can output damage on their team. Sorry, HV. You're just pocketing Jack right now, but still, I mean, they have so much power, so much value, but the only ult that's online right now is going to be the Nano, and you can see the Welsh Whales just playing slow. They realize the time bank is going to be in effect for a while, so they don't want to just get picked. They want to create as much space, they want to create as much stall as they can in a situation like this. But the question is, will Assault come through with the now double shield? Jack with the duplicate onto Sigma, but Corey trying to trade back here, gonna be able to find Raz, but not gonna be able to do anything. Trades coming through both ways, and Mania Moon actually finds an amazing res. The cancel, Jack gets canceled out of the ultimate right there, and the high noon's gonna come through. Will it find anything? Unfortunately, no, it will not there, and it looks like the Emma Skies have maintained the point. They've maintained the card progress thus far. The question is, will the Welsh Whales even be able to contest?
Now, those are great picks from Grigmamail on both supports and at the end of that fight, but yep, he does clean up, and it seems as if the MS guys are going to have to regroup for one last fight. The Whales can actually, regroup a little bit and hold this high ground. They have the positional advantage. Corey on the Reaper for this one, and Jack picked immediately. That gets out the res. That's absolutely huge. Fancy's going to be touching on the ball. If they stop him, they're not going to have a touch, but Fancy does touch, and now they have Nano Visor. Razmataz gets picked immediately. Jack on the high ground looking for something, but the Whales have so many ultimates, they're going to shut them down. Slam from Nortlogic picks Jack, and Witherin picked out. That's going to be it for the MS guys unless some miracle from Akua comes out.
Akua, you got to
Akua
show
does
up
get
right now.
Nortlogic, but no one else from the skies can touch, and that is another map win for the Welsh Whales. This is completely unexpected. What do you think about a reverse sweep here, War? Do you think it is still possible? Are the mentals of the Emma Skies too boomed? They played their main roles at this game, and they still lost the map to the Welsh Whales.
I mean, wow, okay, this play by Fancy, absolutely incredible. I just gotta pause, comment on that, comment on the 15-player kill streak, and the 75%
kill participation
Fancy.
for his team.
Seems we have a consensus.
Oh my gosh.
Fancy was definitely doing his job and more on the Sigma. Absolutely. That was also a great window from the flex support of the Emma Sky.
Withering, I believe. Yes.
Witherin, yes, my teammate, my teammate.
Your former our former teammate. I mean, it feels like
Our
Fancy.
teammate.
HP.
Oh wait, Witherin was on the
Raz?
Hawks. Why'd I say he was on Pelicans?
Yeah,
Did I
I mean,
say
these maybe at some point in time, but it doesn't really
Probably
matter
at
at
the
this
beginning.
point in time. If Fancy, Raz, HV, Withering, gotta give him a quick shout out. I mean, Hawk supremacy. And you asked if the double
Yes.
sweep is or the reverse sweep is possible. Double sweep. I'm thinking about double shield. Whack. Anyways, but you asked if that's possible. I think it is 1,000,000% possible. We've seen the Emma Skies come up big, and with the map choice here, I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do, but I think you have sort of figured out the Welsh Whales. Their strategies have sort of been fleshed out, and you know what works, and most of all, you know what doesn't work in a situation like this. So I think the MS guys are going to focus up. They're going to get a little bit crafty, but do the Welsh Whales maybe already have their number? That is the question, and that is the question. And
Grigmamail, yes.
Grigmamail, yes. Do you believe in Grigmamail supremacy, Invictus?
After watching this game, this is honestly, I think, the second time I've watched Grigmamail play, and this is a totally different player from when I saw him the first time. He is absolutely getting his value and more on the DPS. He's getting so many picks on the supports, on Genji or on Cassidy. He's getting great flashes. I believe in Grigmamail supremacy. I'm high on Grigmamail, and I'm high on the Welsh Whales now. I am on the hopium that they win this 3-0 and show that nobody is safe, right? Every team is a competitor in this league.
Every team is 1,000,000% a competitor in this league, and I think the Welsh Whale is just out here to sort of shut up all the people who put them 10th on the power rankings, myself included. I'm not trying to call people out. I'm trying to call myself out. I put them 10th on power rankings. They're jumping up after this. 1,000,000%, 1,000,000,000% on everybody's rankings. Even if they don't win out this entire series, this shows the potential. The first 3 weeks don't matter anymore. Every team makes playoffs, and if you get, even if they're still the 5 seed, you get eliminated, you're going to the lower bracket, and you're facing the Welsh Whales, I would be scared.
Absolutely. Welsh Whales have definitely been in the workshop. They've been working on their coordination, on their teamwork, possibly their comms as well. They seem like they're much more as a unit than people had expected in the past based on just their map scores. I know a lot of people don't watch these games, and they just kind of judge off of the rankings. But Welsh Wales, absolutely, they've been a competitor. People have been underrating them, and they're showing that now they're ready to take on the top team of their division and possibly come out with a win, which is really, really good for them.
That would be absolutely huge for them, huge for the momentum overall. And we do get to see the map selection does come through. It's going to be Junkertown, the choice of the Emma Skies. What is your thought on that? What can you do on Junkertown, and what might be the Emma Skies strategy here?
Double shield.
Okay.
So, Fancy and Akua, obviously, they did great on the double shield. They outdid themselves, really. Unfortunately, they couldn't eke out the map win. I would say partially due to Corey and Grigmamail both carrying really hard, and great windows from Frutals too. Great support from Mania Moon. I mean, the Whales' coordination to respond to the MS Guys ultimates was impeccable. And MS Guys, they don't need just a comp change. They would likely need to kind of pull it together as a team, make sure that you don't get boomed by these last two maps, and play as a unit. Remember, what your role is in Double Shield, and, beat out the Welsh Whales on this map and show that, hey, I did get number 1 on the rankings, and it's for good reason, right?
Are you seeing this?
They're comp swaps?
The
Okay.
comp swap?
Okay,
Okay.
so let's read this out. Ninja Drew on tank, Fancy on tank, Akua on DPS, Jack on DPS, Raz on support, and Wither on support. Now,
What?
Razmataz Witherin is a fairly strong support line, but this might be indicative of a double flex support. I do believe Raz plays a little bit of everything, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get put onto main support. Jack Akua, maybe they're kind of picking up on the idea that DPS are really carrying this game, and if they can get their strongest DPS players on that role and let Fancy and Ninja Drew just kind of do their thing, then maybe they can match the Welsh Whales better. They're trying something different, maybe out of desperation. I don't know if they ever practiced this. And perhaps maybe they're not even playing double shield.
I don't know if they ever practiced this. This feels completely new. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to say their strategy. I'm not going to be able to predict their strategy. I mean, you'd be much better at that than I would. But Jack and Akua versus Corey and Grigmamail. I don't think I've seen a DPS battle like this tight ever. And
Absolutely.
They're also
They're
value
loading their
DPSs
DPS
too.
lines right now.
Welcome to
I'm
Usually, oh, sorry.
I'm just excited for this showdown for the DPS. Sorry, you go.
Well, I was gonna say, usually you see teams that have maybe one carry on tank, one great DPS player, and one great support player, and then they fill out the rest of the roster with really good value picks, right? This game, or this map specifically, we're seeing really loaded DPS lines to see if the DPS are the answer to this game. In shutting down Corey and Grigmamail on Sigma? Is this a mistake?
Might be a mistake. I'm not sure at this point in time. Hopefully not, because I want to see the DPS. And first of all, I mean, we'll see if it's a mistake at some point in time.
Yeah,
it
it
is.
was a
Yep.
mistake. Yep, he's
Cool.
swapping to Cassidy. He was just trolling us.
But I mean, Akua on the Widow.
No, this is
Potentially the
entirely
most
up to the
dominant
Whales
Widow.
coordination. Sorry for cutting you off. Sorry.
No,
sorry.
no, dude, it's all good. You have so many good points as well, so do never be sorry about that. But most of all, my question to you is, what can you do with a Somber Widow in a DPS duel?
Stop the payload.
Well, if you're the Welsh Whales, you want to be winning the frontline duel. You're gonna have so much more frontline pressure than the MS Guys, and you're just gonna be able to break the shields, win the shield duel. But it looks like Akua's already gotten value on the flank. On the Widow, he's got that incredible mechanics, and he's pulling that out off of the tank roll on the DPS.
This is the king and
Grigmamail
Widow
matches him
1v1s.
immediate.
But with the switch, I mean, Grigmamail, that was so smart. The immediate switch to Genji, realizing that a Widow versus Widow, you don't want to take that duel against Akua, but Widow versus a Genji, the Genji has the advantage in number in spades. And the one thing I gotta mention is that doesn't really matter when you have no picks on the cart. Centurion just getting value on the payload, and Jack with no real way to shut them down other than the ultimate. But Akua sticking to the Widow, sticking to their guns, and their guns are gonna pay off with that pick on the Fruitals. Ninja Drew also showing up there with a point contest, but against a player like Centurion, it's gonna be hard, but backed up by Akua. That's why you pick the Widow in a situation like this. That support from distance, that damage from range, and it might be enough to counter out the Welsh Whales.
Now, this is a different pace that we've seen Jack building EMPs now. He needs to get that ult charge, but it looks like the Whales are doing a great job of pressuring him out. Now, Nortlogic does get diffed by Akua. A little bit of that Widow headshot lobby kind of differential. And it looks like the Whales aren't going to be able to take this fight quite yet. They're going to have to wait for their other tank. Corey with the Dragons.
That dragon was so close to getting absolutely massive value. Great, amazing placement right there, and knowing exactly where the tanks were. Unfortunately, they're able to, you know, just move out of the way, just kite it a bit. But Jack has the EMP. The question is, will they be able to activate in a situation like this? Mania Moon with the res onto Corey, so now we have a straight up 6v6 fight, but Fancy just finding that res almost immediately in a situation like that, and now that's the res gone. Now it's Jack enabled in a situation like this. Both support ults online for the Emma Skies. This is looking like a very decent hold, but on the side of the Welsh Whales, multiple ults, especially those tank ults online. I'm looking to see maybe they use them this fight, or maybe they wait out, they stall it for a bit, and are going to use them next fight for a big ultimate push. Jack able to find 4 of the Flux to follow it right there. We know how dominant that pairing has been, but actually not able to find anything. Baplamp able to counter it out. Valkyrie also popped by Mania Moon to sustain the team, to protect the team here, and they're able to get a lot of progress on the cart. Ninja Drew, the choice for the Nano, and able to be sustained on the cart, but eventually picked up, and the feed is all lighting up in favor of the Welsh Whales. It's only Akua alive, but maybe Akua is all you need. Akua finds both DPSs, trying to do more in a situation like this. Now Corey and Centurion back on the point. Raz is going to be the one to contest, the contest of choice here. They're going to be able to back them off, but Fruitals with the solo window actually going to be countered out by Raz. Fruitals versus Raz. Fruitals able to take it, and may not matter because the Emma Skies were able to reset.
Wow, the Whales played it really well against the EMP, for sure. They played it slow, and then they came back and they responded with their own ultimates. And now it looks like they're coming back into this last fight, and they've used a lot of their power ultimates. Corey with the visor, though, gets 2, and it looks like he might be able to close this out and cap that first one. 3 kills for Corey with the visor. And the damage boost from Mania Moon as well. Can't disrespect the Mercy Pocket right there.
I mean, you talked about all the power ultimates, but we cannot forget Corey on any character, and the soldier swap coming through, it's going to be absolutely massive. It's going to pay off for them in the end, but the fact that the MS guys were able to hold them out for that long is showing that they may be able to contest here. Now you have Nort on the ball, Centurion on the Diva. This is a complete compositional switch. It feels like double shield wasn't the answer, but the EMP may be the answer from Jack, able to find 5, and against the double shield comp, that's going to be absolutely significant, but Corey's going to be the one finding the picks as of right now.
Yeah, and since they're not actually running that double shield comp, I mean, everyone is just able to run away. The EMP gets no value, which is not what you want to see when you're Jack, but you're 50% to your next one. Hopefully you can get some great value from the next one. Still the fight going on.
Yeah, hopefully you can get amazing value from the next one right here, but the question is, will the value be enough to disrupt the high ground here? You can see Nort going for that slam onto the high ground, but Raz the only one finding picks thus far, and Ninja Drew actually doing an amazing job. Ninja Drew not typically on the tank, but able to defend 3 squishies on this high ground, and Jack builds up another ultimate, but only finds 2 and gets picked by Gopherwatch at the exact time. Now Fruitals with the window should be able to create some space, should be able to find a bit of control, but they're losing control slowly. Ninja Drew actually showing up on this Sigma character here, and picks going both ways.
Oh, these fights are looking a lot more scrappy than Blizzard World and Nepal. It seems to be, again, kind of determined by DPS carries right now. The tanks need to stay alive and keep their backline alive, but DPS carries are what really is driving this fight to fruition. And that's as expected when you load your DPS with these high SR players like Jack, Akua, Grugmamail, and Corey. Whales are
Yeah.
forced back.
It's going to be those high SR characters. It's going to be how can you get value? Where can you find picks? And Fancy, so great at finding picks. You can see this positioning up on high ground, just preparing for the hook at the right time, just looking for their enemies. And now we're entering a one-fight territory with only one ult online right now for the Welsh Whales. And Koi just going in, attempting to disrupt that, but Koi actually finding the pick. The Velk preemptively is going to come out, going to be able to sustain Nort on high ground, but the EMP is going to cancel it. It actually finds 5. Nort drops down to low ground. That's going to maybe hinder out their team. Also, the sleep from Withering onto Centurion, it's going to be significant, but the question is, will Centurion be able to build up that ultimate? Will they be able to get the space they need? Fancy has the ultimate, but the bomb comes through, shot up in the air, able to shut down Ninja Drew. The picks are in favor right now of the Welsh Whales, and they're able to sustain the point. They're able to capture here. Akua may be able to find Mania Moon, but eventually gets shut down, and even though it's overtime, do not count the Welsh Whales out.
Wow. I did not expect them to win that fight. I think the two biggest contributing factors to the Welsh Whales winning was Akua getting picked off early. They punished him when Akua didn't have the information. He punched in on Corey and gets punished by 3 different people. And the Centurion bomb actually picking the Sigma and taking out that shield from the fight left the MSGuys with almost no survivability and let the Whales actually clean up based on pure mechanical skill.
Speaking of taking out, though, Will's going to get a little bit slowed down with 2 picks against them, but the ult advantage in the favor of the Welsh Whales as of right now. You can see Nord actually rolling up to that high ground to contest Fancy, but it's going to be so hard to contest a player like Fancy on this high ground. Fancy just holding on, and they send up Brigmamail and Centurion to try to boot Fancy off, to try to create some control, but it's so hard to do that in a situation where Fancy is just dominating this high ground. D-Max Centurion, only 30 seconds left on the clock, and Centurion is Baby Diva at the moment. Akua able to find picks off of the EMP from Jack, and Fancy with a whole hog drops down, finding picks when they need it most. It's going to be the question of, will Nort Logic be able to contest?
And chances are, as a ball, he should be able to, but Ninja Drew and Fancy could shut him down with the stuns in the CC here. He has to play it clinically and avoid those CCs. And it seems he should be able to.
Clinically. Timing absolutely perfect from Nort Logic in a situation like this. It's been absolute dominance, but Ultimate's actually going to come online. But no, Jack with a shutdown onto the blade. That's going to be massive, and Fancy finds one onto Frutos as well. Every ultimate that turns online, the Emma Skies have the answer. They have the number. Maybe this is the composition that is going to work out for them in a situation like this. Hacks still coming through from Jack, and it's just going to be clean sweeps thus far. The whole hog to finish it out, and the Emma Skies able to hold on, able to keep the Welsh Whales to only 2.
That was great carry performances on the overtime by the Welsh Whales, but you really wish that those moments came sooner so you had more time on the bank for that fight. Unfortunately, Jack hacks out Grugmamail on the blade, and no value is to be had on that, and he gets picked off immediately. And from there, it's just a snowball of ultimates that go in the favor of the Emma Skies, unfortunately, and stop the Welsh Whales kind of at the bend of point 3 without getting that cap.
And I think the significance to that, if the Emma Skies are able to get through point 2, I think it's going to be a fairly easy comparatively. If they're able to get it a little bit farther, maybe not, but it's going to be a fairly easy point 3 if they're able to get that space, if they're able to get that control. But we got to mention the compositions for the Emma Skies. Jack on the Bastion of all characters, come on.
Yeah, so a little bit of a mixed comp you see coming out from the Emma Skies. You see a little bit of, hey, I want to be on point with the Sigma and the Bastion and maybe the Brigana. But you see a little bit more flank presence with Fancy and Akua on different angles, pressuring those angles. Now I want to see if Akua stays on the Widow here. The double shield coming out from the Whales, they're playing the safe choice, but this is what won them on Blizzard World, so hopefully that this pulls out a win for them in their case.
Question is, will it come out from the win? I love Centurion with the high bastion in the chat. Absolutely wholesome, absolutely funny. But it's not fun in games. At this point, somebody has to get hurt, and it might be Ninja Drew. Gets hacked, gets hooked. It feels like all utility used on him, and the Bat Lamp gonna be a utility that's gonna keep them alive. A lot of cart progress for the Skies thus far, but the question is, underneath the bridge, will the Welsh Whales be able to mount the hold? They are running the double shield composition, which is allowing Corey and Grigomale to get a lot of value in a situation like this. Jack actually not able to do so much on the Sombra just thus far, but Fancy with those flanks, with the absolute control of the right side. Now Ninja Drew peeling to focus it. Centurion not able to hold the point anymore. That's the power. That's the versatility of Fancy. It enables the picks to come through, and the picks 1,000,000% coming through. Akua and Jack finding multiple.
Yeah, the amount of pressure that Akua and Fancy are putting on these different lanes that the Whales just can't control is absurd. I mean, the Whales, they're going to have to deny these flanks from Fancy. They're going to have to deny the Widowmaker, who's playing, hundreds of meters away. That's kind of going to be up to Corey on the Hanzo as a long-range DPS. But there's so much going on. There's so much that they have to keep track of. And Jack with the EMP, he's going to be looking to hit as soon as possible.
Fortunately, the Dragon, though, not able to hit really anything from Corey. It feels like a bit of lost value for no true stall on the cart, and looking at another fair 6v6 fight, but maybe disrupted. Corey onto Fancy with the help of the BAP window there. That's why you put Corey on Hanzo, and it's gonna have to be a regroup, a reset for, in my opinion, the MS Skies, because if you don't have Fancy and Jack putting on that pressure, your composition kind of falls apart. It's all on the back of them, whether or not they are able to mark out these two players or not.
They've done a great job of marking out Jack. You saw him trying to get the EMP, but he gets scouted by Nort Logic and he teleports away. The EMP comes out from Jack immediately, though, and the Genji is trying to capitalize of Akua. The Supercharger in response.
Supercharger in response, but Akua is able to shut that down, as well as the BAP lamp shut down by Jack, and this is why you have these two on DPS. They can do so much. Ninja Drew able to clean up the rest of those kills right there with the help of Raz and Withering. Raz and Withering also doing an amazing job on the support line. This was our support line back with the Hawks, and I just remember they're always able to keep you guys up.
Sure thing, and that fight shows the power of ulting first when Jack can EMP early, and then the rest of the MS guys can follow up with their own ultimates and their damage boost, and they can just walk into them. The ultimates are the key to this game here, and MS guys have more.
Yeah, speaking of ultimates, Rally and also Blade potentially combination with the Nano if Withering's able to build it fast enough. They have multiple win conditions. The EMP also built up, and the picks building for Akua at this point in time. They could activate all these ultimates at the same time. It'd be so much pressure, but you have so much time to do it as well, as the payload just gets closer and closer. It doesn't really matter if they lose this fight, but they don't want to lose any fights here. They want to show their dominance. The Flux out there to counter the Rally, but against an ultimate like Rally, if you're able to stay up, if you're able to sustain, it doesn't matter. The EMP comes through too. The Blade as well. It's going to be a dry Blade, but still able to get value, especially for somebody like Nort Logic, and it's going to be the point presence for the MS Skies who can contest them in a situation like this. Ninja Drew not able to do it, and the MS Skies are able to take a map.
Now, that was that 6 ultimate difference that you saw there. Jack building up his EMPs incredibly quickly and keeping up with the rest of this team, even though he's using his ultimates not quite in time with his team. He's using them so often that his team just build ultimate mid EMP and just uses those there.
Yeah.
And look at that card for Jack, the 28 enemies EMP'd. That's not even total hacks. That is just from his ultimate. Incredible EMPs from Jack.
Incredible EMPs from Jack. Incredible positional play from these players thus far. And it's basically all been incredible. I say it so much because it feels like this isn't even a first seed in the gold division versus the final seed in the gold division. It feels like these teams are at neck and neck at this point, and the
Exactly.
reverse sweep, I mean, it's definitely still possible, but the Welsh Whales, we got to remember, they're still one map away from victory.
And it is their map pick. Chances are they want to pick a map that doesn't favor that double shield composition that the MS guys are running. They want to run a map that doesn't favor a really flanky, angle wide composition that the MS guys were also running on first point, like with the Hog and the Sombra and the Widowmaker. They're gonna be picking something maybe that is a little bit more brawl favored and running it back to basics, like on Nepal.
Back to basics, I'm gonna prowl. I believe we did see the veto go fully through from both teams, so we will not be having any 2CP shenanigans. I like that. Give these teams a chance to play on another map, on another, more practiced, a little bit more refined map, and that's what I'm looking for. But the composition for the MS guys, it felt like it wasn't even refined in any way. You had Ninja Drew absolutely popping off on the Sigma, by the way. I gotta give that man credit. He did his due diligence and what he needed to do to support the team to anchor their supports in Raz and Withering and able to shut down the enemies.
Absolutely. He's able to deny the angles that the Welsh Whales were willing and able to take onto him. He was using that shield really well and keeping his backline alive, along with Raz and Witherin. Just great support duo, great support synergy between those two, keeping each other alive. And they were able to build ultimates really, really quickly and maybe outpace the Welsh Whales in that regard. But when we see a map that has a lot less chaos factor than Junkertown, will the MS guys be able to kind of match up to the refinement of the Welsh Whales that we're seeing today, especially as like something on Nepal?
And the question is the map. It's going to be the King's Row choice for the Welsh Whales. And I love this thus far just because it feels like Centurion and Nort are able to get a lot of value with a somewhat of a brawl or just a brawl composition. And I feel like it also sort of denies Fancy what Fancy wants to do. Obviously, they could do the double shield with a Rhine and a Ryan and a Sigma, and we know how much value Fancy can get onto Sigma, but it feels like the MS guys really have to, struggle to figure out exactly what their composition wants to be. With the Welsh Whales, it seems set, it seems like they're prepared for this, and it seems like this map may be in their favor.
Yeah, I think they're hoping to kind of run that brawl again, run it back, and deny those angles like they did on Sanctum, right? The same comp or a similar comp that the MS guys were trying to run in a Chaos comp, where they were taking a ton of really wide angles and trying to surround them. The Welsh Whales played it really, really well on the brawl composition, and they're trying to go back to their strengths for this. Now, Kings Row is notorious for being the brawl map for most teams. So you're very likely going to see a brawl mirror, or MS guys are going to try something different. They're going to play what they're comfortable and what they won with, and hopefully eke out a win on a map that isn't particularly favored for that.
And I feel like they're the team that can do that. They're a very unconventional team in the way they play, and you can even see it in their team compositions as of right now. And they're probably whipping up another crazy team composition as I'm speaking. And they're actually going to stick with this team composition. Fancy says R with Ninja Drew on the tank. And I don't know if we've seen this thus far in the season. Maybe we have, and I'm just missing it. But Fancy Ninja Drew tank, I am very excited to see how this competes against the Centurion Nort Logic tank.
I would expect that Fancy doesn't want to play Reinhardt. He wants to do the most that he can on a character where he plays in ranked the best, and that's going to be that Sigma and that Roadhog. I don't think we're going to see a Brawl Mirror, as unfortunate as it is, as that is really fun to watch. Comfort picks probably is going to be the way to go for the MS guys. Welsh Wales, I think Logic and Centurion, they've been doing great work as a tank duo, and they're going to stay in as that tank duo to continue Corey and Grigwamale supremacy. Hopefully, we're going to see that kind of carry potential that we saw on Blizzard World and on Nepal from Corey and Grigwamale. That's going to be the key factor in winning these fights, especially with those ultimates.
Kings Row. Hands down, my favorite map in all of Overwatch. Always, it feels like the deciding map in Gopherwatch League. It's almost always played no matter what. We didn't get to it on map 2, but here we are, map 4, the Kings Row selection, and we get to see it, and it's exactly as you predicted. It's going to be basically a traditional, brawl composition for
Yes.
the Welsh Whales. But on the side of the Emma Skies, complete unpredictability. I feel like the only thing I could predict there is just like Fancy on the Hog and yeah.
Ninja on the Sigma to complement it. I don't believe that Grigmamel is going to keep on the Widow. I think he's just looking for an early pick on anyone on the high ground, and then he's going to swap to something maybe like the Genji or the Cassidy like he's been playing earlier. Great mechanics so far. He's been getting a lot of picks on the Cassidy, so I'd love to see that. Both teams rolling out, or I suppose the red team, the Welsh Whales, is rolling out right now to attack. With that Mei character, they're going to be looking for walls, preferably on the Sigma or the Hog, but they get the McCree of Jack, and Razmataz gets picked off early too. That's going to be great news for the brawl comp of the Welsh Whales, and this is a blazingly fast attack for the Welsh Whales on Kings Row first. This is not good news if you're the MS Guys, because now you're thinking, oh, is my Chaos comp going to work against this brawl comp? It seems like they're rolling us. Do we swap? Do we swap to something that's like going to match this better?
I mean, do they swap to something that's going to match it better? In my opinion, they might just have to, because you could see, I mean, I think it's the significance of Corey just knowing how to isolate, and then it's the shot calling from the Welsh Whales. They're able to call out a target and then one by one isolate the squishy characters, isolate the tanks, and I mean, worry about Fancy when Fancy pushes you, but again, another amazing Maywall just to create space, create time, and Fruito's actually able to find a pick on Jack. Jack maybe playing a little bit too aggressive, going for a little bit too wide of flanks, and Akua's going to have to leave this high ground, and they're going to have to leave a lot of space for the Welsh Whales.
Yeah, Frutals has been doing great work on this Baptiste, and now if you look at him, he's getting 585 hero damage as Baptiste already in this game. We're basically not even a minute in. I think he's doing great work on this Baptiste. Great windows, great window build-up. I mean, he's at his window already.
I mean, that's absolutely incredible for even a Baptiste. I mean, Baptiste is on Kings Row. The only time you can go for gold healing and gold damage. I don't think we're going to see that, especially with teammates like Corey and Grigor Males, but we will see the Flux come out. I don't think it actually really, oh wait, no, it's gonna come out late. It's gonna actually find 3, including the support line, but they were able to get behind cover, so it doesn't amount to much, and Frutal's still in a position to get that Bat Lamp off. The Dragon's gonna come through, maybe able to counter out the Blizzard, but the Blizzard able to find a ton of space. High noon from Jack, able to find a single pick, but picks going both ways thus far, and ultimate's just used to deny the space. This is a very, very scrappy fight. It's a very, very confusing fight, but it seems, as of right now, that the MS guys are going to be able to find some control.
Yeah, you're seeing some great walls from Corey on the Mei. The fight's already breaking out. Nort Logic with the Shatter. It looks like they're backing up again. Maybe he saw an opportunity and tried to take advantage. Didn't quite work out in his favor, though. Grigmamail on the left flank. We'll have to see if he gets value with this high noon. And they have some other ultimates to follow up if he does or if he doesn't, and they need to invest more.
I gotta say, Withering with these antes has been absolutely incredible. It feels like every time they're getting 2 to 3, but that can be the focus in a situation like this. They're gonna ante 3 again, but Frutal's on the high ground with the high noon. It's gonna deny space. It's gonna deny the MS guys any contest unless you're able to get your tanks back onto point. You finally are with less than a meter left. Will Frutals be able to, control this situation? Will the entire team of Welsh Whales be able to control anything? And a pick comes out, but Razmataz with the instant res, and the beats coming out as well. They want to win this fight. They want to win it now. They are going to be able to get it, and they back up the MS guys even more. The picks come through.
Absolutely. Grigmamail was absolutely dominating that high ground right there. I don't know if you saw. After that high noon, he went up, matched Jack, I believe, took him out. Jack got rezzed, took out Jack once again with the Mercy Pocket, and is just held it down for his team and applied so much pressure from another angle that the MS guys, they couldn't really match it. They couldn't really do anything about it.
Now Jack onto that far Mercy, and you can see how powerful it is on the third point of KR, where all time banks go to die. Centurion doing a great job of just shutting down Jack thus far. I gotta give him credit. It feels like Centurion just popping off in both countering Afara and countering Jack's Sombra thus far. They've been doing a great job of marking him out, but when you have so many pressure points like the MS guys do, you're able to create so much space. But speaking of space created, the bomb thrown in, Ninja Drew with an amazing block onto that with the shield, but Corey's eventually going to be able to find that pick in a situation like this. The high noon again from Gopherwatch always builds it up, but Akua's going to be able to counter that with a dragon, and Akua is going to be the one finding the picks, one onto Gopherwatch, and now Logic trapped in the white room as a solo. No real potential unless he goes out, unless he hits the shatter, and he brings it down right there, eventually taken down by Jack, but the picks are going in the favor of the Welsh Whales. They're able to create control. Fancy just going for the touch, is going to be able to get the slam down onto the cart, and now it's just going to be a touch game for the MS guys.
That was such an amazing boot from Neopalladius on the Lucio, and that's going to win them this fight undoubtedly. There is no way, unless Withering going down, and yep, the Whales do cap that third point. A lot of heroics from the Welsh Whales there, and unfortunately the MS guys just getting outplayed marginally in small ways that add up.
Do you think it's worth it at the end of the day, the composition? Would they just be better off switching to a straight up brawl comp, mirroring them on the brawl, or do you think that that's not going to do it in a situation like this? Obviously attack is a completely different story, but it felt as if the Welsh Whales were just unstoppable.
Now the Welsh Whales, yeah, they're doing fantastic on this brawl comp, and I'm expecting maybe a change of things for a comp for the MS guys, and it looks like, yes, Fancy is gonna be running the Reinhardt. He noticed that his comfort pick just wasn't enough against their comp, not necessarily, you know, his skill level that was holding him back, but it's just the character. I mean, it's the character and the entire compositional difference that made the difference for that attack. Unfortunately, Fancy can't play the hog, so you're gonna have to do more. You can't just say I can't do more anymore.
Yeah, and maybe you can't do more in a situation like this. I mean, Fancy, Reinhardt, it's an interesting choice. I don't know if I'd switch this around in their shoes or not and switch the tanking roles, because Fancy can get a lot of value on Sigma, but we're going to have to see if the value actually comes through thus far. We know Fancy, one of the best tanks in the entire league, but right here, you got to show up, you got to compete, and you got to make this team composition work.
Right, and for this team composition for the Whales, they're going to be looking to make the walls work, and Fancy's going to have to be the one that avoids those walls and baits out Corey. Both shields in the favor. I mean, the double shield, technically, from the MS Sky is kind of living up to their legacy that they've built for themselves. Now, Jack on the pharmacy, too, helped Akua get the pick onto Grigmamail, and the immortality is out for the MS Skies. This is just an absolute cluster F of stuff going on, of chaos.
Cluster of chaos right now, but within the chaos, Jack thrives, and Jack's able to take down the entire tank lineup of the Welsh Whales. Now, the Welsh Whales may be able to get back in time to contest. They do have Gopherwatch lurking in the background for a bit of a stall, and you can't really send anybody in against the Doomfist, but might not even go for the contest. Might just wait for the last... Oh, waiting for the last second, going in for the contest, and will it be worth it? No, not really. Gopherwatch just the
he's
easy
going for the disrespect.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Gopherwatch.
Nothing really Akua could do to stop that. He just had to know that the Doomfist was there, which was kind of impossible. So Gopherwatch a little bit disrespectful, but it's all in good fun. This is gonna be kind of reliant on how they shut down Jack on the Pharah here. Are they gonna play into his sights, or are they gonna shut him down when he tries to come into their space?
Yeah, and Jack really needs to obtain some type of high ground to the far or some type of flank. Nort's holding so strong, but one thing that's going to disrupt this strength is going to be the window. Fire Strike comes through, but not able to find anything. Jack on the back line, you know him for his flanks, and his flanks are going to show up here. Finds two, Neil Palladius with the beat to attempt to, control the situation, and the Blizzard's also going to come through. They're investing a lot on this fight, and it's actually going to pay off in a situation like this. The bomb utilized as well. They want to win this fight. They want to create the space, but I don't think they're even going to be able to get this. What was that? 5 ults used for almost nothing?
I mean, they didn't deke out the fight when they almost did, but the difference maker was Jack on the Pharah. They're just not able to take him out with the Razzmatazz pocket, which I know by experience is a very strong pocket to have when you're on a DPS character like Pharah or Ashe, for example.
Well, what are your thoughts on the War Pocket? Is it equally as strong?
Well, the War Pocket is a Mercy Pocket, and a Mercy Pocket is a Mercy Pocket. I would say there is no difference.
Okay, but I mean the difference it may be there for Jack because it looks like Jack goes down, and so does Akua, but the Shatter's actually going to get canceled out, I believe, but may not even matter because Nort Logic just pushing down this point, holding all the space. They're going to push them back actually all the way to the spawn doors, and Akua, Jack, you can't do anything in this situation other than a bit of poke damage against their team, and that was a great fight win, a very clean fight win for the Welsh Whales.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the exact sort of tempo that you want to see when Jack is on the Pharah, but now he's swapped over to the Sombra. The MS guy is going to kind of take the advantage and take the fight faster, and now Akua with the high noon as well. Grigmamail with the high noon to respond, but he's not going to find anything, and the MS guys are going to take this fight as well. It seems as though most of these fights are just going in the favor of the MS guys, unfortunately, for the Whales.
Unfortunately for the Whales, but I mean, that's kind of the cost of using 4 or 5 of your ultimates in one fight just to hold really, really close. You're basically going to give them this point for free, and you see they take the point for free, but they still have to fight for the large time bank here, even if, in this situation, they also have to fight to even get through point 3. We know this is where leads go to die, and the window, the visor, also going to come out. That's going to be able to deny them a lot of space, and it's Neil Palladius actually the one who's able to find that pick onto Fancy. Nort Logic pushing them yet again back to their spawn doors, but that might not even matter because they're allowed a quick reset. And do you think it's risky, the fact that they're using so many ultimates just to hold them at the start of this point?
Well, if you look at the ultimate bank right here, they only use 2 ultimates. The visor and the window, they're coming up on 4, actually. And they're almost matching the MS guys in ultimate advantage. It's just a matter of who uses them first and who uses them properly. Neo Palladius helps out Grigmamail with the kill onto Jack. They're not going to have that EMP in this fight.
Both Shatters come out, the bomb also to complement the high noon to back it up. Speaking of ultimates, you're just going to use every single one in this situation if you are the Welsh Whales, and use they will. Frutals may be able to build up their ultimate for the last fight, but now it's going to be an ult advantage potentially for the MS guys, but they've depleted the time bank of the MS guys almost completely here, just holding this point. Nort Logic being a great foundation, being a great counter in all regards here, and the positioning has been absolutely incredible. Flux comes out from Ninja Drew.
What is Nort Logic doing? Look at him. Look at him. What is he doing? Charging from behind, gets stunned, gets counterpinned. He's still alive. Good news. He did leave his team out to dry a little bit with that flank, and he does get taken out by the window and the fire strike.
You get taken out by the window of the fire strike, but somebody who can also get picks is Grigmamail. Deadeye comes through onto Akua. That's the pick you need to get in a situation like this. Gonna deny a potential ultimate, and now we're looking at this hold from the Welsh Whales. It is so substantial on a point like this. It feels like they're able to counter out. Maybe the back window used a little bit preemptively, but it's gonna force them back I'm looking to Jack right now. It's going to be the Sombra ult. Will it be able to be the difference maker? We've seen it be a difference maker many, many times, but will it be right now? They need to find the perfect placement, the perfect timing for it, but could easily be countered out by another ultimate here. It's going to come through, able to find 4, but it doesn't even matter because Corey's able to pop it in time. No, Corey actually shut down by Akua there, and now finally the MS guys may be able to get a bit of progress.
I think most of that stall was thanks to the fact that most of the whales were actually shutting down Jack, and he couldn't get that EMP out. He held on to it for maybe over a minute, and that's not usual for Jack. Check him PC, that is not normally. But Jack usually uses his EMPs every other fight. Still getting hacks, but gets picked off by Grigmamail.
But Akua with the Deadeye, though, that might be the differential. The Grigmamail's been the one getting the picks, and now Grigmamail completely shut down. Window coming out as well, but the Beat's gonna do a good amount to counter that. Neo Palladius has been absolutely massive. Are they gonna be able to find any boops? No boops coming through, but the swings are coming through from Nort Logic. The Shatter was huge, potentially to get the Sol. Where is the Flux going to be placed here? Is it going to be placed in a situation like this? It's going to be able to find both the supports while enabling Akua to get picks. They need to be able to find a Sol. They need to be able to find some space, at least touch the point. And no, they don't even do it. That's going to give the MS guys a minute. It's going to give them a final breath, a final chance. Because if they lose this match, it's game over.
Yep, and it looks like it's going to be the MS guys are up first on the attack point. And we're going to have to see if they can even get a tick. If they are unable to get a tick in this 1 minute that they have in the time bank, then they can't even win the game. They are left with either a draw or lose scenario, and that is not where you want to be when you're 2-1 against the Whales. Now the Whales are going to be defending first, I do believe. I would have to double check. Yes. The Whales are defending first. And they don't really have to, worry about huge ultimates coming out from the side of the MS guys until the very end. They're going to play this composition extremely slow and try to drain their time bank until the very last minute so that it's last fight territory for the MS guys and they might not have anything to use.
The only thing I got to point out, though, is both these teams took the first point so quickly. And they have the potential to do it again.
Maybe some changes in the philosophy for the defense. Sorry for cutting you off again.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And a philosophy change could be the Torbjorn. What are your thoughts on that?
The Torbjorn probably in response to the Sombra that they were expecting, but Jack coming out on the pharmacy to counter that turret and just break it immediately. Corey's gonna have to find another way to get value from his turret and get value from this hero pick that he expected the Sombra to counter.
If you expect to encounter one thing, but Jack rolls on another thing, it's so deadly. The fact that Jack is able to play these characters and be very versatile, shut down the turret every single time. But the only shutdown that I'm seeing thus far is the shutdown from the Welsh Whales. No ultimates built up just yet. It's going to come down to who's able to build it first. Akua, first one to at least activate the ult. Could be combined with the Withering window, but the question is, will they use it? No, Fruitals actually uses it first. Attempt for the window fire strike, not able to find it. 8 seconds left on the clock. Withering activates the window, but it's going to be Nort Logic showing up first with the picks. Every ult's coming out. Jack able to turn online at this exact moment, though. Raz with the res as well. They're going to be able to sustain. It's just Corey left on the point. They're able to get a tick. They might be able to find more, and they may just be able to force this overtime.
Now that is a heartbreaker if you're Nort Logic and you get 3 down with your Shatter. You almost won the fight, but unfortunately Jack is on your backline with the Q. He built it up during the window of all things and threw it down while they weren't looking, when they were looking at everyone that got slammed by Nort. That was such a close hold, and now it's overtime for the MS guys, and they did get that tick. This is winnable for the MS guys.
Some of the Welsh Whales got the long spawn, luckily sped back by Neo Palladius, but that allowed the MS guys to get through the choke. The one place that the Welsh Whales were able to hold them down, but this corner, another potential point, but not if Corey just keeps getting shut down, and Fancy shows that they can do shutdowns as well with the Shatter, finds 2 or 3. Grigmamail's No value from the Deadeye, absolutely countered out by Fancy and Ninja Drew on that tank line, and Fancy not even afraid anymore. He goes in, and he goes in swinging.
And Grugmamail is going to get staggered out, unfortunately for him.
Justice is
Now, this is kind of not a scenario that you want to see yourself in. This is kind of the same story that you were seeing on the last attack for the MS guys, where the pharmacy is doing a lot of work, and you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to shut them down. Corey is sticking on the Torbjorn. Chances are he wants to get that Torbolt to zone him off the point, but is it worth it? Gets picked off, and he won't be able to get that ultimate for this fight.
Yeah, it's not worth it if you keep getting picked off by Jack. Jack showing up absolutely massively in a situation like this, just doing such a good job of zoning off their team. Now, potentially more ults coming online for the Welsh Whales, but it's not even more than the MS guys already have built up, and we saw how big the barrage was in the previous fight. Maybe even in combination with some more ults could be absolutely massive.
And I don't want to discount Akua. He's been doing amazing work on the Cassidy. He is the most damage in the lobby by far. Both teams coming out with ultimates, trying to see who's gonna take down this overtime. Fancy goes down. That's the main tank down for the MS guys, and it looks like it might be favored for the Whales. And the Whales do take him off the point. They zone him off the point with the Diva Bomb. Maybe a little bit of a C9. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a C9, but I'm just impressed. These teams have been showing up when we expect it least. I mean, the Welsh Whales starting this out with a 2-0 lead and even domination on King's Row. We thought it would be over. We thought they could end it and maybe only force a tie, but in a situation like this, a tie is basically impossible now. The MS guys were able to get so much progress there that now the Welsh Whales, they had triple the time, but with so much cart progress all the way past the second point, are you going to be able to shut them down, and are you going to be able to stay alive?
It really comes down to how you want to play this. Do you want to play it really frontline heavy, which it looks like they do with the Corey on the Mei again, and run down the front line before the Pharah can get value? Or do you want to play this a little bit slower, shut down the Pharah, make sure that she can't get infinite value like he has been, and then go in on the rest of the team once the Pharah Mercy is dead or zoned out? That's kind of the question, and it seems like they're going for the frontline option there, with Grigmamel and the Hanzo not even opting to have anything for the Pharah.
Now, they have a lot of time here, and if they're able to stay on point, we already saw the MS guys push be absolutely massive, but will the push be massive? Corey is proving it can be massive with the freeze and the cancel out on a Fancy. Ninja Drew lighting up the feed, though. It's actually going to be Ninja Drew finding these picks, finding the clutches backed up by Akua, and I mean, it's so easy to forget about Ninja Drew in a situation like this when you have Akua, Jack, and Fancy, but I mean, it shows that we cannot forget about him on tank. Just been so amazing thus far.
Yeah, he's been doing great on this off-roll, putting a lot of damage out on the Sigma. Now, the Welsh Whales are going to be going in for another fight here, and they're not opting for the Mei anymore. Corey, unfortunately, picked out by Ninja Drew early in the fight. Ninja Drew has to use his grasp early. He won't have as much survivability. Fancy goes in really, really fast. Unfortunately, Akua gets picked out. Fancy with the Shatter, though, will get Norlogic and Secturion on the ground. Witherin maybe out of position, could get punished. The window out from Fruitals may win this fight. Ninja Drew is just in the middle of everything and just gets picked out. Maybe Jack, too. There goes Jack. Frutal's getting a lot of value from his mechanics on this Baptiste character. Now, Razmatas gets picked out, and it looks like the Welsh Whales are going to be cleaning up this fight and taking first point. And they still have time to boot.
They still got to clean up Akua. There it is. The final pick, Hanzo v Hanzo from Grigmamel. And obviously still time to boot, but you got to be impressed if you're the MS guys right now. You have basically 5 ultimates online, right? You only used 1. You're able to get a minute and a half off their time bank. They still have to fight for this. They still have to fight for their positioning if you're the Welsh Whales. And you're looking at maybe 2 or 3 more fights won for the MS guys, and it's going to be able to call game.
Absolutely. The MS guys played it really well. They were greedy with their ultimates for holding on to them, but that's because they knew they could lose the fight and use them in the next one to win it out. So they draw out the ultimates from the whales. Window comes out from the MS guys. Corey goes down. Centurion with the bomb to remech. And it looks like the MS guys are going to be taking this fight, and they only used Window and Valk there.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates utilized from, or at least Centurion utilizing that Diva bomb to remech in a situation like this. It feels a bit risky, and I know Nortlogic to initiate the fight attempted to go for the Shatter, but got absolutely shut down. Now, literally, one fight territory, and you have so much space you need to get through. Almost, it feels like, 100 meters you have to cross, and this 100-meter dash is not going to be easy, but Dragon, Window, able to deny space, maybe accomplishing a bit of the same thing, but in a situation like this, it doesn't matter what you're able to do. It's a question of, will Jack be able to get the barrage? No, actually gets shut down, but Akua is able to find Corey. Now, Emma Skies up by 1, but it doesn't really matter. You need to find the picks to back that up. Picks going both ways thus far. Raz with the res as well. Ninja Drew showing up with a DMAC with the kill onto Neil Palladius as well. There's nobody on the point to sustain, and we are going to be going into map 5.
Now that one fight was really scrappy, and it seemed like it could have been winnable for the Whales, but Ninja Drew came out and won that fight with that Flux, pulling up 3, killing 2. That is, honestly, he's so above his pay grade right now. He's doing so much on the Sigma. It's incredible.
Hey, but speaking about above your pay grade, Neil Palladius, the boops have been absolutely, how many has it been? 3, 4,
I haven't
5?
counted, right, but Neo Palladius has been getting so much value with boops that I wouldn't have expected from them, but I think you should be expecting that as a former Cantaloupe member. You probably got a lot of coaching from your teammates like Bonesy and Corey, and now Neo Palladius is showing up. Unfortunately, the Welsh Whales have dropped 2 maps, Junkertown and Kings Row, and they're going into a map 5 against the MS Guys. Now, this is not the same situation that you wanted to be in from that 2-0 after Blizzard World.
But it's hard to believe in the grand scheme of things, the overall Gopherwatch League standings, that the Emma Skies are 3-0 and the Welsh Whales are 0-3. If you were looking at this, you wouldn't expect that.
Right. I think some people maybe put a little too much faith in the rankings, and they don't necessarily think about how teams can evolve over the season. And I think the Welsh Whales have definitely improved in the off time from their games. They've definitely shown that, your draft doesn't just determine how well your team does. You also can put in the work and change your outcome. And the Welsh Whales are the prime example of that.
They're the epiphany of that. They are the reason that you should never give up and go for Watch League. You always have a fighting chance, and with every team making the playoffs, this right here, the Welsh Whales. It doesn't matter if they lose this right now. They are the reason why you always show up, you always practice, you always attempt to get better, and they're doing it so well here. You can tell the difference between the week 1 Whales and the week 4 Whales, but we do have a little bit of a prediction in the chat. It might be over already, but do the Emma Skies reverse sweep? I don't even know what to predict. We saw it possible, and I was like, okay, it's possible, but Welsh Whales had a little bit of an advantage because they're up 2 maps, and now 2-2, I don't even know what to think anymore.
Well, I'm really thinking that MS Guys found what worked for them to counter the Welsh Whales. And Welsh Whales, on their preferred map choice of Kings Row, did get beaten out. Now, the Welsh Whales are kind of on the back foot. They're trying to find some way to throw off the MS Guys and win their last map for the series win. But Jack and Akua on the DPS are finding it, or are being exceedingly hard to shut down by just Corey and Grigmamail. Even though we're seeing a lot of hero plays from the Whales, it's just not enough.
And I think we didn't expect this at the start, definitely. And both teams, they have spent every single time so long just considering the map choice, just considering exactly what you want to do in a situation like this because it's so hard. These teams are so back and forth. It feels like one time you can win on a composition and then switch around one character, make one character counter another a little bit more, and completely flip that logic. That's how close these teams are. It's absolutely absurd to me that you're able to have teams that are so evenly matched, but also a team like the Skies that is so versatile in what they can do. It feels like they can have somebody play any role on that team, and it doesn't matter. They're still able to do good, but what do they think can do best? They got to wait for the map choice to actually find that out.
Absolutely. And I really want to give props to Fruitles on that ringer flex support. He's been matching Witherin perfectly with the windows. And honestly, Fruitles is throwing out the windows first most of the time, and that gets the fight win many times. It's gotten the fight win many times in the series, and I think the Welsh Whales are very, very happy that they choose Fruitles, or they chose Fruitles for this role, for this banger of a game.
Hey, Frutal's an absolutely amazing choice. I'm glad. I'm glad for two things. One, I'm glad I didn't apply to be a ringer. I definitely would have been underqualified for the Welsh Whales. But two, I also am glad I get to cast this with you, Invictus, because this match, it's absolutely incredible. These players absolutely incredible. I could talk for I think hours just about the I think 12 that are in, and then add in HV second Mania Moon. Currently sitting out at the moment, but we'll have to see if they're going to be sitting out for this final map.
It would be interesting to have Mania Moon. Well, actually, I mixed up Mania Moon with Space Muffin. Mania Moon would be their other support player around the same level as Fruitles, but it would be a little bit weird to keep Fruitles in instead of keeping Mania Moon in, considering the scrim time that you may have with them. I would expect Mania Moon to come in.
Mania Moon is. Yep.
Hold up. Why am I discounting Mania Moon so much? They've
Yeah.
been on in this game and I've just been ignoring them. Unfortunately, I just
GG.
have a blind side for Mercy players maybe.
Yeah, you forget me every time. I'm just
Yeah,
behind
I'm
you,
really
and then
sorry.
you only realize I'm there when I res you. You're like, wait, this guy has a
Oh,
res button.
thanks for
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
thanks.
no, 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 no,
thanks
no,
for
no,
that.
no, no. Invictus only notices you when you accidentally fly too far in front of him.
All right.
Which is every
Hey,
single
Invictus, I'm
time.
still here.
Hey,
Hey, Invictus,
Invictus, look at
excuse me.
me.
Well, I
Bro,
cut
back
all of
up.
your sight lines as Mercy with my giant wings. By the way, Imp Mercy, absolutely fire skin. You gotta
Imps
stick with it.
supremacy. Looks like you're gonna see the swaps out from the Welsh Whales. They're gonna be trying something different. Corey on the tank line this time. I think Corey's idea here is he's gonna be trying to match the tank line of the MS Skies a little bit more. Maybe he's gonna be playing Diva, but I don't know why he would be doing that for Nort Logic. Well, Nort Logic plays well on both Diva and the main tank. So we'll have to see what exact role he picks up on that tank role. But Centurion on the DPS. Now, that's something I don't see very often, but I know Centurion is a Pharah enjoyer. Now, I don't know if they're going to be forcing Pharah against Jack Pharah, or if they're going to maybe go Echo. I don't know anything else about their hero roster
I like
besides
this.
Pharah.
I like this, and here's why. I mean, Corey gets good value for the SR on tank. Centurion, a little bit underrated as a DPS, but I think that's just because Centurion's a very versatile player in general. Grigma Mills has been showing up on DPS, and in Season 5, with the Kanto Cantaloupes, Centurion was that backup DPS, the ability to play all sorts of different characters and complement Grigma Mills in any composition is going to be good. You can stick Nort Logic on the main tank. You can put Corey on a character that can counter Fancy. It
Corey
feels like,
on the
yeah, it
Diva.
feels like
Chances are he's going to play Diva.
can that counter a Hog really well?
So yeah, I mean, so with Diva, I mean, you can just boost her into the Hawk's face after he hooks someone, and you can just eat all the damage. So you can deny hooks. Not only that, if you're playing Diva, you can mark a Sombra like Jack might play. Or Jack could play Pharah, and D.Va can also deal with that Pharah. So I think D.Va's probably the most versatile pick, and I know Corey is comfortable on that character. We'll have to see what happens on Lijiang Tower, though. It is known as, well, at least some of the points are known as great Pharah maps. Some of the points are also known as great Brawl maps, and we'll want to see if the Welsh Whales can continue their control supremacy against the MS guys and win those Brawl fights.
I love this for the Welsh Whales. I think this is the correct map choice. And it's hard to say like exactly what the correct map choice is, and we'll never actually know in a situation like this, but it feels like it's going to enable their composition to do what they do best. Centurion on Afara, or even like Neo Palladius, gotta keep shouting out that character. I mean, Lucio has been absolutely incredible with the boops thus far.
Yes,
And we
yes.
can see more boops on Lijiang. That's my favorite thing to do is Lucio on Lijiang.
The disruption from Neo Palladius cannot be discounted. I'm honestly surprised by the tenacity of the MS guys. I was thinking after those 2-0 maps by Welsh Whales at the beginning of the season, or the beginning of the series, that the MS guys were maybe going to be a little bit more mentally boomed and maybe not try anything new. But the MS guys really showed that they have a lot of strategies that they can use, and they have a lot of adaptability to shut down Welsh Whales. And they definitely brought that out, and now Welsh Whales are in a position where they have yet to shut down Jack and Akua on the DPS, and they need to do both somehow.
Question for you. I see this getting mentioned in the chat. Do you think Busan would have been a better pick? Because you are the game savant. You know a lot more than me in a situation like this. Would that have been a better pick if you were a Welsh Whale?
I would have to think about it. So Busan, you do have some pretty high ground dominated maps in that I believe Gardens and City Center. So that would be more dive favored. You're seeing a dive composition coming out, or a pseudo dive composition coming out from the Welsh Whales. It almost looks like the Imp's signature ball 6-man, but without the Reaper guy and without the support characters.
And without the Torbjorn. We gotta make sure he's shouting out the Torbjorn. Give a ma'am in
he's
the
not staying
chat
on it,
for the Torbjorn, but unfortunately not really gonna stay on it there. But I love these compositions. It feels like the players are on who they're most experienced with, but Nort Logic has to be experienced with a player like Withering. The sleeps come through, and Withering absolutely popping off thus far. The sleeps, the antis have been clinical in deciding who is able to take control, and looks like Fancy already has control of the point. The MS guys have control of the entire bridge, it feels like, and Centurion and the rest of the Welsh Whales have to back up.
Yeah, and that was one off the back of a crucial mistake by Nort Logic, and incredible ability usage by Withering again on the Ana. You saw the sleep onto the ball, but what may not have been seen was the anti onto Corey that just solidifies the fight in the favor of the MS guys. Good job on Withering. A hook from Corey hooks Ninja Drew off the map. Akua responds with 2 from his High Noon ability, built it up really quickly, and that it's not looking so good for the Whales, but another pick by Corey and another pick by Grugmamel. Now it's looking in the favor of the Whales once again, and an anti from the Ana on the Welsh Whales. Fruitals, the flex support player. And the Whales are gonna get point control after 40% on the MS Guys' side.
Corey said I can't do more. Locks hog. To match Fancy.
I mean, it's working. So Corey maybe seeing some weakness in Ninja Drew's mechanics on the Sigma, specifically shield usage. Hog is notorious for being able to just walk through a Sig shield and just hook the Sigma and hook the grasp that the Sigma has and just deny those abilities. So Corey is doing great work and playing around those edges to pull people off.
Yeah, playing around the edges, but maybe Ninja Drew got the number. Able to deny a little bit of space, and even though the anti does come through on a Fancy, it doesn't really matter because Fancy's able to find an initiating pick. Now both the tanks down. Neo Palladius trying to stop this though, able to get the res, and that's going to be able to stall out the point just for a bit. But how can you stall out a point when you have Fancy on the point, whole hog and the nano active, able to shut down some space, but actually not really able to get much thus far, and now they're just trying to stabilize, but I mean, Nord doing a great job of just stalling this out.
Yeah, it looks like the tanks are just coming back just to stall it out, just to get as much point presence as possible. They know they're not likely to win this, but they wanted to get as much time on the clock as possible. They got 69. Nice.
I love how he had the
But
exact
the
same
MS
idea.
guys are defending now. They have defender's advantage, and they have a significant ult advantage with both DPS ults and Ninja Drew's ult.
The question is, how do they use it? And if Fancy and Corey are able to get the crucial picks that they need to get in a situation like this, that could be the deciding factor. You can see Corey just looking for those picks. I mean, I don't even know if it's overlooking when he's been hitting, I believe, 3 of them this far on the match. And Centurion doing a great job of creating space as Echo. But remember that Fancy and the rest of their team could always play it back, but I mean, with Nord coming in, you can't really play back, you can't really play angles, but Akua responds, and Jack is there to follow up as well. The whole hog from Jack on the duplicate as well. That's going to shut down Centurion. That's going to create the space they need, and that might actually call game.
And that was a great play from the Whales. Unfortunately, it just got shut down by more ultimates on the side of the MS Skies. A great high noon by Akua and just good cleanup. And they're just going to be in desperation mode trying to contest this, and they're falling like flies. There's no way they can survive 6 people from the MS Skies on point with ultimates.
6 people from the MS guys on point. I mean, it's going to be so hard. Fancy utilizing a whole hog, just denying the space. I don't even know if another contest can come in, but no.
Mill's still on, and Corey's on with the bubble onto point, but gets bursted down by Fancy.
You gotta keep going touch characters. You gotta just try to stall for this time, but when you're stalling for time, it's just gonna get harder and harder as time goes on. Akua, high noon to counter. It's gonna actually counter out Nort Logic there, and they eventually do take the first part of Lijiang Tower.
Right, and honestly, I think the Whales might be a little bit mentally boomed. I feel like the comms are not quite there in relativity to like something like Nepal. This is maybe a little bit of a worse look from the Whales, where they were dominating on the brawl before. Now they're trying different things. They're kind of in desperation mode, and it's not working for them right now. But Jack is forcing the far on control center. This is very counterable.
This is very counterable, but it's actually worked out for Jack in the past on, I believe, a map 5 as well. We've seen it come out and actually been used very, very powerfully for the counter, but it is, yet again, the brawl against the MS Guy's just typical composition, and MS Guy's typical composition is so good at finding those picks. They've already completely dismantled the tank line. They've already taken out the support line once they've taken out Fruitals, and you just gotta reset in this situation. You've lost the advantage of a quick recontest, but I mean, maybe you can get back on and mitigate the damage if you're able to go fast.
And that fight was just a fancy diff. He took out Fruitals immediately, and the tank line that had pushed in really, really fast had fallen really, really fast as well without Fruitals to support them. Centurion trying to get control of the server room with those turrets. They do get control, but they do get hooked away. No pick to be found from Fancy right there. And Whales are playing it really, really slow, and they're getting ulted on now. And they just get ulted on and killed by Akua with the high noon. Great high noon from Akua, and full hog from Fancy as well. And the MS guys are going to clean up once again.
And if you're Grigor Mills in a situation like this, you just got to get out. Actually, Grigor Mills able to find one. It's going to actually cancel out that res, and now they don't have res, and they also lost the BAP window in that point in time. So if they're able to go fast, if the Welsh Whales are able to move fast in a situation like this and just dive as a team, which it seems like they're doing, they're going in a 6v3. It seems like a winnable situation, especially with the BAP window coming out. Centurion with the first pick, but you wonder why Jack picked Pharah, actually, no, actually gets shut down, shut out there. Logic's gonna trade out Akua. That could be some value, but you lose your main tank, you lose potential control. Will the Emma Skies still have control?
It was an interesting charge from Logic. Does take himself out with Akua. Maybe a positive value
Oh my
trade.
god, Neo.
Neo Palladius with 2 off the coastline. That's a amazing boop from the Lucio, or was that an environmental? I'm not quite sure. But 2 final blows nonetheless. Jack gets taken out as well, and Fancy with the whole hog just trying to contest for as long as possible till 99 is taken out, and the Whales take point 99 or 90% to 0.
It's a tall task ahead of the Whales. They don't really have an ult advantage, and they also lose Corey in the process. The one clutch player, they put them on tank for a reason, and that reason may not even be seen unless they're able to get back with the bomb. The bomb could be the deciding factor in a fight like this, but so much could be the deciding factor, just like Fancy's hooks right there. Shuts down Centurion at the exact right time, and the picks are coming through for the MS Skies, and they're actually going to be able to get a lot of point control. They gotta turn around. They gotta contest the point. The bomb's gonna be there to contest, but actually blocked by Ninja Drew. Jack with a boop off the point though. They're losing members. They're losing control. The Jack with the barrage as well. It's gonna be big this time. It's gonna find their entire team, and they have the control. All you can do is stall out or hope for a contest. I mean, they're stalling, but they need to get some form of actual contest now.
And this is desperation again. They have no ultimates, only Reaper ult actually. On this side of the Whales, they need to touch, and Centurion just gets hooked out of his Wraith form. No value to be found with his ultimate. No ultimates until Frutals comes back. It's just Neo Palladius and Corey stalling on the point. Corey on the ball, he won't be able to touch really, and it looks like it's a map win and a series win for the Emma Skies in a 3-2 reverse sweep fashion, just like I predicted 100%. I knew it was gonna happen.
You knew it was gonna happen. You called it from the beginning, and oh, I really wanted to see the Neo Palladius boop because I didn't get to see it. So somebody just clipped that for me if that was on stream. But again, major plays by Akua as well. You can see their impact on the team. And Emma Skies get their 4th win. They stay undefeated. And unfortunately for the Welsh Whales, they do drop down to 0-4. But I have a completely different opinion of the Welsh Whales, and I believe that everybody in the league should at this point in time. Do not count them out. Do not sleep on them. Remember, this was them with a ringer in Frutals. That is incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am much more on the hopium for the Welsh Whales than I was in the past. And honestly, maybe the Emma Sky is beginning to show a little bit more weakness than we're used to. The Emma Skies have been dominant in most of their matches, only dropping a few maps. Unfortunately, Welsh Whales weren't able to take them out, but winning those first 2 maps was a great morale boost, and they should be proud of, the progress that they've made in this season to even get this far and do so well against the Emma Skies when you had such a disappointing start to the season.
And that's doing well against the number 2 team. Like, the number 2 team you're doing this well against. And in my opinion, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, we saw the awesome anglers actually take the Emma Skies to a map 5 being Lijiang. But in my opinion, the closer maps were these maps. The Emma Skies versus the Welsh Whales. I mean, Welsh Whales proving to be so dominant in a situation like this. But that's not what we're going to worry about. We're going to worry about the Emma Skies, and we're going to worry about the MVP.
Oh,
Invictus. What do you think?
Okay. So, you look at the Emma Skies, you watch that match, you see a lot of picks from Fancy, you see a lot of value and picks from Jack, you see a lot of value from Akua. If you looked at the stat line of Akua, he was getting an immense amount of final blows, like he was fantastic on the cleanup, doing tons of damage. Jack was getting tons of initial picks, initial EMPs that won fights just by themselves, and Fancy, again, with incredible damage on the Sigma, incredible protection for his team, and incredible fluxes and picks on the Hog. I would think those are the top 3 contributors to the Emma Sky's victory in this. but I don't want to count out the other 3 or 4 members of the MS guys that have been rotated in and out. Honestly, everyone in the MS guys did incredible. Do you think we want to give MVP to someone that deserves that recognition, or do we kind of want to go with a safe bet and say like, hey, this person definitely like carried? Because honestly, I think it's all even between Akua, Fancy, and uh, Jack at this point.
I'm actually gonna take this and make 2 completely different points. I totally agree with those 3 being different, like just built different, but I feel like they couldn't have really been placed in this situation without a player like Ninja Drew off-rolling for the majority of the matches and actually winning every single map he was off rolling on, and then Withering with those antis, that timing, just the placement of everything. I wasn't sure the exact healing. Obviously, all the MS guys doing absolutely amazing, but I mean, I would
Maybe we should
say
give it to Withering. Honestly, I feel like the MS guys would not be able to do what they could do if Withering and their support duo Razmataz hadn't kept each other up so well and kept the entire team up so well and supported them and gotten carry potential value, especially fight winning value with the Ana Sleeps and the Ana Nades.
and the Ana Sleeps and the Ana Naves were absolutely massive. It felt like every Ana nade was just a triple anti on the opposing team. I could definitely see that argument for Withering. So, I mean, are you okay with that?
It's
Are you,
such a tough choice. I want to interview the entire MS Guys team.
yeah, let's do it right now. Just kidding. We can't do
Yeah,
that.
so
That's illegal.
let's pull them all in here and say, hey, everyone is the MVP. Everyone participated. Everyone did great. I love you all.
No,
We
no, no.
can't do
Okay,
that.
okay,
We
okay.
have to choose, okay?
Withering,
Okay?
Withering said, "Leave me alone, please." So for that reason, I think we pick Withering. One
No.
million percent.
If
No, no,
if he
no.
wants to be left alone, why don't we leave him alone, okay? Okay, on the count of
What?
3, we can each say our MVP pick, and then we can have them both. We're gonna have them both. Okay, we're having fun with it. It's okay.
Oh, can we have them both? Are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to do that?
1, 2,
We have to pick
3.
one. We have to pick
Akua.
one. You go, Kua. Go, Kua. We're going Kua. Okay, cool. We're going to Kua. Lounge. Now. Lounge. Now. Akua, where are you? Akua, we need you. Yeah, it's almost like, we spent like 15 minutes picking the MVP and we weren't able to actually like keep their focus. But
Wow.
Akua,
Akua.
congratulations on your match win. The reverse sweep comes through for the Emma Skies. Absolutely amazing job.
Thanks.
Now, I have a question for you, Akua. Uh, what was your key to success after those first 2 map losses to the Welsh Whales? What was exactly the thing that clicked and really allowed you to turn those maps around into your favor?
I think my tank was just really bad today. And then we put me
Shoot.
on DPS. And then I clicked. And then we won.
You did put up incredible numbers and you were getting a lot of counter picks in response to the Whales. The Whales did have some, carry potential, and you definitely showed that you can turn those fights around even when you're down 1 or 2 people. Very good job.
I
Ward,
saw a
did you
lot
have
of
any
those.
Plus,
questions?
I'm just better than Greg Mosa.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I see. I see
That's a
it.
bit spooky. Okay.
Get the predictions in the chat. Who's better, Grigma or no? Just kidding.
Okay,
Anyways,
okay.
I gotta ask. On King's Row, you guys were down. They had more than 2 minutes above you.
I think they
What
had
was
like
your?
3:30 and we
Yeah, they had
1
like
minute.
They had like
three
305.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 something either way. What was the strategy? What was the compositional diff that you guys pulled off there? Because I remember you guys just lighting up the feed and then able to stall out that first point and then stall them out the rest of the way just with alt rotation, and it felt like perfect timing.
I think we just struggled with Sig Hog. Like we weren't like kiting properly with that comp, and then we just put Fancy on Ryan, and then he helped us hold space a lot.
Absolutely. I did predict the fancy he would just run the hog on the King's Row, see what he could do. Unfortunately, it just wasn't working out the same way that you would expect on a map like Junkertown. What were the comms like, especially on a map like Junkertown? Was the morale still high? Who on your team is kind of like bringing the positive mental attitude for everyone and making sure everyone stays in the competition?
I guess
Or if it's
Fancy,
nobody.
because he's always calming. Win or lose, he's always calming.
Okay, fancy.
Understandable.
Was there any sort of, overtime speech after that second map that kind of pulled everyone together, or was it really just like the compositional diff? Like you changed everything about your composition and it just ended up working out better?
Fancy called the reverse sweep when we were down 2 maps.
That's confidence. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's it.
One more question before we get into the big question. Who on their team did you feel was, or the Wales team, did you feel was hardest to counter? And you can answer
Or
multiple
who
if you
was
want.
hard carrying the most, at least? Who was doing the most, do you think?
Probably Grigma when he was getting bursty pocket, but they kind of stopped pocketing him, I think.
Oh,
And
really?
then I think it was a lot easier.
Alrighty,
That's
Invictus,
pretty insightful. Okay. The big question?
the final
Big
question.
question here.
No,
You want me
no,
to you want me
please,
to ask
You
it?
do it.
You
It's
want
all
me to
you.
ask it?
please
Look,
no.
look, okay, it's impossible. It's impossible to choose an MVP, and we spent like 5 minutes trying to find an MVP, and we just ended up on you. But if you were to pick an MVP from your team, who do you think did the best? Who is the most valuable player, especially for their SR?
I'm just gonna say Withering.
Okay,
That's our
okay.
number 2. Ding ding
Let's
ding 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 ding
go.
ding.
I really wanted
Let's
Withering in
go.
here just to see how he'd act on cast because he said, or act on the actual broadcast because he said he didn't want to be in here. I really
Yeah,
wanted him
Witherin
in here.
did kind of say, "Leave me alone." So
No,
props to
Yeah,
no.
Witherin.
y'all baited me. Y'all baited me. I thought Withering was coming in here.
I would have dragged. We would have dragged Withering in. We have Fedora in our back pocket, whether he liked it or not. So Withering, if you pop off again, I will get you in here. I will personally drag you in here. That is a St. Michael Hawks promise.
Okay, yeah, I think Withering, it does get kind of that the MVP, but in their heart, they get the MVP, but in my soul. But they didn't want to be in an interview, so that's okay.
Withering,
Anyways,
you can't hide Withering.
we will find you, Withering. Anyway, that was our week 4 match. Thank you, Akua.
Yep.
You can leave now. Leave.
Leave. Get out of here. Go.
Goodbye.
Get out of
You're
here.
gone.
Scramble. Scat.
There he goes.
That was
Well,
our week 4.
It was. Do you
GG's.
want to close it out, or you want me to do it, Invictus?
You go. You go ahead.
Me go. Okay, okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you everybody for watching. I just want to say, I looked at the chat a couple of times. We had like 40 viewers. That's like the most viewers I've ever seen on a cast, and I mean, it means a lot for me and Invictus and Fedora, but it also is showing for the teams that are playing. It shows that we do care, even on a Monday night. Obviously, no school, but like, we care about this league. We care about what happens, and we care about these teams absolutely popping off. Welsh Wales, even though you didn't win, I'm expecting a great future from Ewall. I want you to get your last win on week 5, and Emma Skies, I don't want to say I'm praying for your downfall, but I kind of am. We want the number 1 seed. Then this message was brought to you by the Iceland Imps Foundation, as everybody in this chat is an Iceland Imp. However, that's going to be all from us. That was going to be the 3rd week 4 match. We still got a little bit more week 4 action to come, but amazing job, amazing gameplay, amazing casting from Invictus. I'm on 3
Amazing
hours of
casting
sleep.
from War.
No. I'm on 3 hours of sleep. It was absolutely awful for me. We don't talk about it. But
No,
also
thank you.
amazing production. We love the mams from Fedora at the exact right time. It was all perfect, picture perfect, other than, the fact that you're casting with somebody who's been up for 18 hours straight straight on 3 hours of sleep, and he's been throwing your cast. But anyways, that's going to be all from us, from the Iceland Imps, and everybody in the Gopherwatch League. We will see you next time. Have a safe night.